This episode of All Wings Considered is brought to you by games. Sometimes the only winning move is to buy more games. Now, here's Ben and Jason.
Hey everybody, welcome to another world-bustingly exciting episode of All Wings Considered.
Games?
What games?
I don't know. Michael said games? Hell's
Games?
Kitchen? What? So many questions. So many concerns.
Already getting questions.
Already getting questions. Yes. Plutonium. You can buy in the corner store, future boys. Well then, that was different.
Yes, welcome to another exciting episode of All Wings Considered. I am your host, Ben Love Lesnick. I'm joined, as always, by my compatriot, my comrade-in-arms, my wingman.
Keep going.
Dunderdall.
Oh, I was going to say, I need more. Yes, Jason Dunderdall McHale is with you this evening. I was hoping you had one more, really good one for me.
Beard guy.
Screen watching friend.
Yes, my computer friend, Dunderdall, is here.
Yes, that's right.
So how are you, computer friend?
I'm great. I was about to make a King of the Hill joke based on the episode we just saw that I figured probably not the subject to be bringing up.
One of those especially risque episodes of King of the Hill.
That's right, about them pimps and hoes. But yes, we're fantastic. It's been a wonderfully warm day in the DMV. Mm-hmm. We are friends. Yes, I guess that's the thing. Sure. We are ready to continue the Summer of Privateer. Yes, we're both. And now it's I'm trying to think of a good beer joke. I got nothing. It wasn't there. But yeah, it's book club week, which is exciting. Things are just about to get serious.
Yeah, tonight we're gonna be looking at another Privateer 2 ship.
I don't know if you need to be updated on that.
Yeah,
you have not been
Duress.
watching. Yes,
we're gonna be playing more of the Privateer plot, finishing up Taylor's missions.
Taylor.
Doing some privateering around,
making bad moves on ladies that don't want it.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much the Privateer experience.
Yep.
And then Fleet Action Book Club is later tonight. We'll be talking through chapters 10 and 11 of Fleet Action. Which are pretty exciting chapters.
We have a fleet action.
Yeah, an actual fleet action happens in the book Fleet Action, so
yes, the first
it's getting good.
Yes.
So it should be a good show.
Mm-hmm.
We've got all sorts of errata coming up on slideshow, Afterburner slideshow. But first, how was your week? What have you been up to?
My week's been great. I have been starting a new research project, so I spent the week reading. Lots and lots and lots of reading about the Yom Kippur War, so my brain is a bit of a mush on that. But other than that, it's been great. Steel Division 2 finally came out officially today. So that's exciting. For me. And just me, probably. I beat Sigil. Sigil? Is that what we called it?
Sigil?
Sigil?
I don't know.
I thought, that was it was a lot of weird build-up for a bunch of fun levels. I mean, they were enjoyable. It was a good twist.
It's a neat concept to having the original developer go back and make new levels.
Yeah, what was really weird, though, was that when you beat it, there's, the classic Doom text screen, and I was like, what the hell is it explaining? What? You didn't give me any pre-episode text, so I don't know what's
You didn't read
going on.
the README?
Oh, I didn't even see it.
I don't know if there was one. I haven't.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't even see if there was, to be honest. I don't know. I own 50 copies of Doom now. Thanks, Keenan. But yeah. What else have I done this week?
That's a good question.
You were ill Tuesday, so we didn't have.
Yeah, I was
finish
crummy on Tuesday.
Our Pan Pacific movie night. Other than that, I think just living the good dream. What about yourself?
Well, you mentioned I was sick. No, last weekend, I think I said I was going there last time, but Allie and I went up to Pennsylvania to help her mom out at the church bazaar, and she spent 10 hours on her feet making funnel cakes, and I spent 10 hours sitting in a folding chair in the back eating funnel cakes and reading. I'm totally caught up on Star Trek and Star Wars novels now. So
excellent.
Yeah, that was exciting. But
excellent.
Then I got back, and this was a busy work week, and I got sick on Tuesday, and I finally, this morning, I got up at 4 a.m. to catch up on everything, and I've been going ever since. So at some point during this program, I will die live on
That's right.
air.
Suddenly, you're telling me that your Orion's going to start breaking apart, and you may also crash with it?
Yes, that's likely.
So tonight, I think we should switch it up, and let's do Academy Gauntlet High Scores, because you sound like you're in the perfect mood for it.
I'm ready. I've got Academy here. I can move into the show.
That's right. Of course, it's always ready to go. Always ready to go. But yeah, other than that, we've been kind of just finally getting into summer around here, which is rough. Oh, I see what you're up to over there, too. I see. I'm talking to you, Benjamin.
To me? What do you...
Yeah, I see what you did, that extra window over there.
Oh, yeah, I got that one.
Exactly what we talked about pre-show, and then you did it anyways. Anyways, I feel like we need to burn out of this place.
All right, let's go.
Oh, was my camera too... you couldn't see my hand use the throttle because I was in the wrong place. Camera's all over the place. I just noticed it's also pointing too low. We're chopping the poor head off our Kilrathi.
Oh,
there we go. Yeah. Yeah.
So
what do we have?
Well, yeah, we've got all kinds of things. This past weekend was Father's Day.
That's right.
Did you call or text your dad?
Yes, I spoke to my father.
Okay.
Yes, I spoke to my father, and I said, I bought him some ebooks, and I noticed that Amazon likes to send them at 12:01 Pacific time because he got them before I could have a chance to say, hey, I got you some books. So it was a little weird surprise where I was like, I see you got those at like 6 a.m. this morning when you must have gotten up. Thanks for ruining my surprise. But yeah, he was happy doing something.
Exciting action the dad does here. So the only Wing Commander dad trivia we have is
there you go.
Here's Colonel Blair's dad, also voiced by Mark Hamill in the Wing Commander Academy episode Expendable.
Small head compared to that body.
I think it's just an off-model shot, which is unfortunate because he appears in like 3 shots total. Mm-hmm. But the trivia that goes with this is that for whatever reason, and it's established by totally different sources, but Colonel Blair's dad and Maniac's dad are both named Arnold.
Oh, okay. Well,
so if we need the climactic moment in Blair versus Maniac dawn of wing commanding, it can be when
Arnold versus Arnold.
Yeah. No, did you see Batman versus Superman? Or
no,
I
did
everybody?
Not.
Oh,
No.
It's the part of the movie everybody makes fun of, and rightly so because it's ridiculous. But somebody Wikipedia'd when they were writing and figured out that Superman's mom's name is Martha, and so is Batman's, and that's the emotional bond they connected after they're beating the crud out of each other.
Martha.
Yeah, because Batman is killing Superman, and by the way, spoilers for a terrible movie. Batman is killing Superman, and Superman's like, "Tell Martha I love her," or something, and he's like, "Why'd you say that name? That's my mom's name." And they're like, "We both have moms. Let's stop the bad guy instead."
But that's his foster mom, right? The one in Kansas, or
Martha Kent.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh.
No, I don't know what Superman's actual mom's name is.
I feel like isn't it said in like one of them?
I'm sure it is because Kal-El and all those.
And then
there's all that lore.
And then Don Corleone is his father, which is kind of funny.
So anyway, the Wing Commander movie, it's I mean, folks know that one because it's spoken aloud in the movie. Son of Arnold Blair. And then the Wing Commander Prophecy official guide from 1997 has this surprisingly long 2-page bio of Maniac that says his dad was a Marine named Arnold Boomer Marshall. So,
Boomer, still getting those hits in.
That's our salute to dads. Yeah. Yes, Boomer was Origin's PR guy at the time. And I have not been able to track him down in recent years. Mike McCoy, a.k.a. Boomer, used to be our PR contact when we were doing the official Wing Commander site for Origin. He was a really nice guy, but he was somebody that Origin had hired to run their community. This is back before there was such a thing as a community manager, but they basically hired this guy to community manage their Jane's line, because they were... Andy Haas was running the company, and they had this whole line of Jane's games, and then he ended up having to get stuck with also the Ultimate community and the Wing Commander community at the dawn of UO, and that was not an easy job for.
No, well, I think coming to Downnet with us was probably the easiest of those.
Compared to those Ultimate jerks.
Yeah, you just get bombarded by a bunch of kids in a chat room instead of hatred. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, whoa, we've got a...
Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's exciting.
I don't know, I thought it might be stream-related. Somebody sent you a gift?
A gift, oh. Okay.
I don't know who it was, because
it doesn't
say, but there was a gift receipt.
Well, says
I didn't buy anything for
a
you.
gift for you. It's the
I give you the
new
gift of time.
Honor Harrington book, the leather-bound one. So
I don't know. I thought maybe it was somebody watching. So
Leather-bound
I
books.
think they sent it to us in the. It would be hard to predict how to get it there during the stream for us, though.
Well, the future is
Anyway.
it
here,
was on
though.
the doorstep when I went to take garbage out. So
Oh, so
all
maybe it's
right.
someone who's outside.
that's even creepier.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Good to see ya.
Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, good.
Uh,
All right.
Exciting! Thank you, whoever that was, if it was anyone.
It was
And-
not me.
So yeah, go away, Colonel Blair's dad.
Yes, go away, Colonel Blair's dad.
Well, let's check out some of the other.
Stuff?
Yeah, I mean, by the way, yes, this is so. Bane, the company that does the Wing Commander novel, did the Wing Commander novels back in the day. Their big successful series is David Weber's Honorverse, which is 18th century Age of Sail, but in space, often very, very, very literally. And it's not art, but it's tremendously fun.
Okay.
And the last few, they issue like 3 of these a year, and they're like I think they're limited to like 1,000 copies, and it's like leather-bound reissues, and I've been collecting them. So somebody knew that and sent this to me. Neat. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's literally the thing I told you not even 20 minutes ago I don't want you doing, and there you are doing it.
All right.
Why don't you hit us with what do we have for
Yeah,
last
what would
week?
you like to see?
Let's start with what are some follow-ups that we need to go over.
Oh, you know what? Let's look at the FM Towns games.
Yeah.
So first of all, last week we talked about the FM Towns Japanese computer. It was just an aside at the time.
Yeah.
Here's a picture. That's what an FM Towns looks like. They actually look like all sorts of things. There's desktops and all the varieties of the computer the 90s computer rainbow. But this is kind of the iconic. The green on the darker gray case. I've got one that's over there. It looks just like a PC. But
I've never seen that cool looking one over there.
no, I think Joe Garrity has one like that, or he used to.
It had double CD drives, or is that or those
I think it's
zips?
a CD and a disc, or a CD and a zip, or something.
Yeah, okay. I think you're right. Yeah, those don't look like CD drives looking from far away.
And then here's the console version, the Marty, that we mentioned. And people probably don't remember this because no one cared at the time, but there was this. At the dawn of 32-bit consoles, there was this push to consolize various PC platforms, thinking that, if you make a console of this PC, it'll get all of its game library. So you have like the Amiga CD32, which actually had Wing Commander as a bundled title, stuff like that, the CD-TV, and this was the FM Towns version, the Marty. And I just threw that in there because it's what we talked about last week. But I wanted to show off the 4 Wing Commander games that were released for the FM Towns. And to make that happen, let's go back to the small talk just so we can see it in bigger resolution.
I was like, what are you showing? Oh, the physical
I've got the
games.
physical copies.
Should you go to, or is it too early to jump straight to the cargo bay to have the biggest resolution?
We don't have a cargo bay in this episode, so I don't have it set up.
Oh my!
We had some camera mess.
We did have some camera
and
mess.
I ended up having to reshape it. Yeah, it's a long story. Anyway.
Yes.
So in 1991, Origin signed a deal with Pony Canyon, a.k.a. FCI, Japanese publisher, to port, at the time it was Wing Commander 1, Wing Commander 2, and then both sets of mission discs to the FM Towns. Mm-hmm. And the first one came out soon after in 92, and that's this right here, which, as you can see, has a spectacular cover that is not the standard Wing Commander 1 cover at all.
Now we got a Fralty and some people in red.
They've got red uniforms just like in the movie. Mm-hmm. And
a gigantic gun? Is that what's next to her?
She does seem to have like a giant, I guess, like a ship-sized gun maybe.
Yeah,
it's like a wing cannon or something.
Yeah.
But you can see the artists in Japan, and this is also true of the Super Famicom version. They took the claw marks line drawings and then they painted them as a magnificent battle scene. And since they're so detailed in Wing Commander 1, it's obviously a Frothy and a Rapier and a Drolthy, and that's pretty neat. Now, we talked about this last week, I think, already, but The major differences with this version are it has Japanese text. It has a Red Book soundtrack instead of MIDI files. So they basically went through and recorded everything with an MT32 as a CD audio file, and you can rip them off the disc. We've got them up at WCNews.com. And it has it has speech, but not full speech. It has in-flight speech, so similar to Wing Commander 2 when it has a speech back. Mm-hmm. And as is common with some Japanese games, that is a selling point, the fact that Spirit and Angel have particular voice actress ladies.
Oh, so I was like, why are there 2 Japanese women on the back? I thought that was going to be some kind of weirdo.
No, because they're otaku fandom they're very fan. People were fans of a particular voice actress. So maybe you don't care about Wing Commander, which turned out no one in Japan did, because it did not sell so great. But
it's kind of a reminder to them, of bad times.
Yeah, it is. I mean, in fact, that's kind of what we've thought looking back at the marketing. Wing Commander 1 is very much the Pacific War.
Yeah, and you're reminding space. Imperial Japan.
Yeah, it's just not something they've ever sold well. And they tried really hard with Wing 1, and then they pushed again on Wing 3, and it just never took off there. But anyway, these FM Towns games, at least the early ones, come in these really cool clamshell cases. It's like owning a giant VHS.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like a little bit bigger than a VHS case.
And if anybody out there ever wants one of these, this is pretty affordable. You could get a copy of this for $50. They show up on Yahoo Auctions Japan. You can import them really easily. This is a cool piece to add to any collection, and they're plentiful because they published 1 million of these in 92. And I'll just open it up because
sure,
you see it opens up like a giant foam thing.
For those kids today who remember Blockbuster.
And it comes with, first of all, a plastic poster. It unfolds, and this is a map of the Vega sector. It's the map from the back of Claw Marks, but as a fold-out plasticky paper.
And also, what's with the white space? Is that so you can write notes or something?
That's a good question. It's not. I guess you can track your movement through the game.
I guess, yeah. It's kind of a weird. It's got all these weird blanks on there.
It does not have a immediate claw. It doesn't have claw marks in the same way. It has just a Wing Commander 1 manual with the art, but it's got all the same material, the ship specs. And interestingly, this one dumps the drawings, and it has screenshots for the characters. So that's fun.
Yes.
And then what else is in there? Just the usual warranty cards and so on.
And a very secure CD.
Yes, here's the CD itself.
And a foam core bed it sits in.
Yeah, and you can see it's got the little FM Towns dog there. And
just the dog in me, baby.
I got into FM Towns stuff in around 2000, 2001. I had never seen any of this stuff before. There was not, today you can go and read all about the FM Towns online. Back then there was nothing, and it was just an incredibly exciting time collecting these from little hints around the web and figuring out what was out there. So that's Wing Commander 1.
Okay.
That was followed soon after by... Some of these will go faster than others. Sure. A package of Secret Missions 1 and 2 together.
Ooh.
This is... And they had the same release for the PC for the DOS V, which... there's nothing too exciting, just the usual... Same kind of manual as the US one, and then a CD that looks very much like the US Deluxe Edition. But this is a type of release that was particular to Japan, where they bundled Secret Missions 1 and 2 released as a standalone game. So it's not an add-on. This is a special executable that's been reworked that runs just the Secret Mission. So it's like Wing Commander 2 1.5.
So can you transfer your character then from the first game to those two? Or
I don't believe you can.
So you've just... interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, actually, here in the box it's got Star Vega campaign, so maybe you can.
If only we could read Japanese.
All right. Now, the next one, this is the really exciting one. This is one of the pride pieces of my collection. I'm so...
I've heard this more than once.
So blessed to have this one.
I've heard this line.
No, this is definitely one of the things I would grab if my house was on fire. This is Wing Commander 2 for the FM Towns. And 1 was not a hit, but Origin was contractually obligated to deliver this, which they did 3 years later, in 1995.
Ooh.
And It's Wing Commander 2 Deluxe. It has all these special missions, special operations missions in one package. And if you look at this box, again, they've given the manual to a... they've given the reference artwork to the artists in Japan to do in their style. And, of course, the Drockery is on the box, so you could have a super cool looking Drockery. And what is that? What does that look like on the back? What ship do you think we're looking at right here?
I think it's supposed to be a Fraltha?
Yes! So it looks nothing like a Fraltha in the game, but the only reference material they had for what the Kilrathi capital ships looked like was the black and white silhouette art.
Yeah,
so no detailing.
Yeah, because it has the general-esque shape, but it's missing some of those more aggressive kind of details that come out in the texture.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where if you give somebody that silhouette artwork of a Fralthra and the Wing Commander 1 artwork of what a Fralthi looks like, and all the details like, it launches fighters, and if you actually look up close right there, there's a Jalki launching.
Goddamn Jalki.
You get that, which is super cool. This is really a pain to get. There's like one or two on eBay constantly for like $800 that I think no one ever buys. But this was printed in so low numbers that nobody has it. And in fact,
so low. This
was what taught me about the FM Towns at first, because I guess I first learned about it because of Ultima 6, and that was a thing that Ultima people prized back then, the full speech Ultima 6. Okay. But Captain Johnny, John Gunsel from Origin, happened to get the Origin Library's copy of this at some point, and he showed us the cover art, and I was...
It is. So it's very cool.
Very cool. And that's what the manual looks like. I don't think there's anything special in the manual. It's the same.
What I love about that cover art, though, is it's just, they get the basic information, and they've made their own interpretation. And, I can't not like it.
You're legally obligated to like it.
Yeah, it reminds me of what would happen if a Fraltha was captured by the Confederation and put into service. They strip all that orange paint off and they paint her silver. I could see that,
That color is Kilrathi Durasteel.
Oh, I'm sorry. It has that nice sheen because it was mined on Hollis.
And so that was Origin's original contract with FCI.
Okay.
But when Electronic Arts came along...
Wait, there's more.
There's one more.
Oh, yeah.
So this is a game for the FM Towns 2, which is the 486 plus version. This is Wing Commander Armada, ported to the Towns by Electronic Arts Victor, which was the Japanese arm of EA at the time. For whatever reason, they decided that Japan would really be interested in Armada. So they ported Armada to the FM Towns 2, to the PC 9821, which is another Japanese computer system, and it's the only Wing Commander exclusive for that system. There's a Fancy Strike Commander and Ultimas and such for the PC-98, but nothing Wing Commander. And for DOS V, which is not the same thing as DOS 5. DOS V is the Japanese language version of MS-DOS 6. So it's DOS with Japanese.
I thought you were trying to be fancy, to be honest. I didn't say anything at first. No. Yeah, I was like, okay, he's feeling very snooty this evening with his DOS V crap. I just let it ride, figuring you were being you.
And this one, it's just like regular Armada. Reference guide.
But where's what we want to see?
Voices of War.
There she is.
It's David Ladyman's classic manual, but
wow, I like it. Okay, I love the brightness actually, kind of this. Like, don't get me wrong, that looks very much like a nightclub headline thing, but there's something it jumps out at you. I actually dig that. I dig it, but I don't. It looks good.
And interestingly, one of the things that was removed for these versions was modem support. So this is purely sitting there multiplayer for the Towns in the 98. And there's what the CD looks like.
This is interesting. It's funny how what can be translated and what cannot. They don't translate any of the names of the weapons, but everything else is interesting.
And I have managed to track down and collect... I've got this for the 98, I've got it for DOS V, I've got it for the FM Towns. I still need, and it's out there somewhere, a copy for... I need the diskette version for the PC 98. So that's the last Japanese Armada I need that I know of. And I happen to.
I don't know if you can talk
out.
about Japanese armadas today of all days, sir. Right? I think today is probably not the best day to be representing.
That'd be a good segue if we were done.
Oh, damn!
I also wanted to share this, which I pulled out to help somebody in chat the other day. But this is
a very bright box.
This is Wing Commander Privateer for DOS V. So this is Privateer with Japanese character supports. I promise I won't say DOS V again.
It's just. We're clearly going to be saying enough for it's going to become one of those jokes now. Wow, EA, I love what you've done to the box.
Well, somebody who actually knows what they're talking about is probably going to be like, actually, it's pronounced DOS. Blah, blah, blah.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what
baby. Whoa.
They use a similar artwork to this in the UK European version, so it's...
Hachimachi.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Holy.
We've got the...
Yeah.
usual stuff.
The stuff that it gets thrown out and then you forget about it.
I never throw stuff out. Classic manual.
He doesn't.
And then it's 6 diskettes, just like the PC release.
This is a very, very, very bright version of this image. Compared to, if you see the classic one where it's a few tones darker, it's crazy how bright it is. Oh no, they have Perry upside down!
Well, and I noticed one other thing about actually what you're looking at right there. So I was saying in chat just the other day that I had never noticed that Privateer
it just blends in, yeah.
has a galaxy in the background, which is super makes sense. There's a galaxy, and you travel around this. Yeah, it makes sense. I never noticed that was there.
It's one of those things that you don't notice because your eye just sees it. But look, giving that back to you, yeah.
Well, what your eye did not see is
the planet. Well, sure,
it's a planet instead of a galaxy. I don't know why that was changed, or
I just saw the upside down Perry. That's what it's right. No, it blended in. It's right there.
You got space, but there you go.
Yeah, it's got camoed. It's got that EA camo thing. It blended in with the monitor there. That's pretty classy.
It reminds me of the Space from Beyond DVD.
Yeah, but
Space from Beyond our DVD set with Babylon 5 in it.
That's right. Yes, it's Babylon. What are you talking about? That's not Babylon 5. I'm sorry.
That's that base where Snoop Dogg lives.
That's
or Coolio.
That's where Coolio lives.
Ooh, both of those people would be mad at me for that.
That's right. Well, you got Snoop on your mind because Snoop was playing a white pimp named Alabaster.
All right, now I'm going back to the slideshow viewer because we've seen stuff.
All right, let's
whoosh. So that was the FM Towns follow-up from last week. I hope folks were interested in that in some way. I love obscure versions of the games, and when they have original artwork like that, it's even better.
Yeah, that Privateer box by itself, just seeing the
blue Privateer.
The blue Privateer, but then that manual cover, how they split up their ship images is fantastic. Mm-hmm. That is good stuff.
Now, what else do we have to follow from last week?
Quite a few. It just depends on what order we would like to do them in.
Would you like to talk about history for a while?
Should we? Let's get the history in, and then we can frame it around the other stuff.
All right.
So one of the reasons why I was joking with Ben why he should not be talking about Japanese armadas today is because today is June 20th, which is the 75th anniversary of the second day of the Battle of the Philippine Sea.
It was when Horatio Nelson sank the Japanese armada.
That's correct. Yes, it's also when the USS Enterprise. Yes, when the USS Enterprise showed up with its F-14s and saved Pearl Harbor and all the rest. Yes, so June 1944 was obviously a very big month in the Second World War. The 75th anniversary of D-Day was 2 weeks ago. I had the 77th anniversary of Midway from 1942, but yesterday and today are the anniversary of the last great carrier battle in history. There was carriers at Leyte Gulf, but let's be honest, the Japanese were just bait. They had no intention of actually fighting a carrier battle. But on the second day, and this kind of fits into some of the stuff we'll be talking about later in Book Club, June 20th, so yesterday the 19th is what's called the Great Marianas Turkey Shoot. That is when the Japanese mobile fleet, they have 9 carriers, about 450 planes, and they'll launch these 4 massive raids against what's called Task Force 58, which is the American carrier group. And during that, the American pilots and anti-aircraft gunners absolutely decimate these Japanese raids, where by the end of the day, Admiral Ozawa of the Japanese fleet has about 50 planes left that he started the day with. So this is kind of great, just ripping the heart and soul out of the remaining Japanese fleet. So today, on the 20th, the Americans, well, they want to finish the job. So overnight, the Japanese fleet has been steaming west. The Americans have been steaming west. And this morning, right, they send out a bunch of scouts trying to find the Japanese fleet. They don't find anything. They launch a midday search. They don't find anything. The early afternoon search finally finds the Japanese fleet, but they are very far away. The initial report says about 275 miles, which is really getting to the danger zone of like, you know, I can get there, but I can mess around for about 30 seconds and then come back. You know, like you have a few minutes time to do what you need to do in the attack and then return. And so what happens is that Admiral Mark Mitcher, who's in charge of the carriers, said, I want to launch a full-out strike. So they prepare to launch 260 planes. About 15 or 14 of them have to turn around due to various problems. So about 226 will then fly out to attack the Japanese fleet. Problem is, once they take off, they learn that, oh, by the way, yeah, the location data got garbled. They're actually 60 miles further west. So now you're at the Rubicon, right? You're at that point of no return where if you do this, you're not going to be able to make your way all the way back. So, but the pilots, they want, you know, everybody wants to get the Japanese carriers. They've been waiting almost 2 years for them to come back out. Because right before the Americans invade the Marianas, Admiral Nimitz is quoted as saying, you know, as the Americans keep punching all around, I don't know what else we can do to get these people into a fleet action. Nah. And what happens is Admiral Mitcher on June 20th, late in the afternoon, about just around 3:15 p.m., so very late, they launch this attack that is going to take off from the American carriers and make its way west. This is often called the battle of this, you know, the last battle of the rising sun, because as the Americans get there, the sun is setting, and it reminds many of them of the Japanese flag, right, with the rising sun. And this also gets called the Mission Beyond Darkness, because leaving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you have to fly 300 miles and then come back. It's going to be landing at night, which today is still considered one of the most scariest and expertise requiring activities an aviator can do, is landing on a moving carrier at night with just basic landing systems, landing lights, and all of that. So as a result of this, what happens is these 226 American planes, they fly all the way out there the whole time thinking, oh my God, how are we going to get back? And they arrive over the Japanese fleet. But before they get there, the USS Wasp Air Group, they're the lowest on fuel. They say, screw this, we're not even bothering. And they attack 3 Japanese oilers that are about 30 miles behind the main fleet because they are trailing because they're slower vessels. But what happens is that the rest of the American planes arrive over the Japanese fleet, and they're preparing, right? Normally what would happen is they would move into position to do, a systematic attack of the Japanese. There's a doctrine they should follow, but they're all running low on gas. So what should happen doesn't happen. And
basically just like a road trip.
Yeah, basically it's exactly kind of what happens. Yes, our road trip was very similar at times like that, right? And the thing is, in 1944, the American naval aviators are without question the best in the world. They have, more flying hours just in training than some of the Japanese pilots have in their entire flying careers. I mean, Americans aren't allowed to fly off carriers until they have 500 hours. In comparison, some of the Japanese maybe have 200 hours total. So the thing is, in 1942, about just under 60 or under 50 American planes managed to destroy 3 carriers completely in about 5 minutes. Here, the same is not to be said. Because these guys are at the end of their fuel. They've been flying for hours. They're nervous about having to then fly back in the dark and find their fleet. When they see the Japanese ships, basically it's mayhem. Everybody breaks out and starts attacking by their groups as fast as humanly possible, which means that a lot of the ordnance for 226 planes, every damn carrier should be sunk. But it's not, because they're all worrying about that fuel concern. So you can actually finally switch our slide for us. Yeah. Where here we see this is actually the mobile fleet under attack. I believe that's a battleship and 2 destroyers trying to maneuver around American attacks. And what happens is the Japanese put up a total of 35 Zeros to defend against 226 American planes. So as you can imagine, they do not do well in this. But during this, only one Japanese carrier is sunk, the Hio. It is hit with bombs and torpedoes by the USS Bella Woods aircraft and is later sunk. And you can then switch again. We're here in the middle there with the smoke and the carrier. That is the Zukaku. So it's the last of the Pearl Harbor survivors. Its sister ship Shoikaku had been sunk the day before by an American submarine, which is actually our submarine. The American submarines were actually the really big killers during this battle. They take down both Shoikaku and Taiho with torpedoes. But what happens is the Americans attack. They put one bomb into Zuikaku, 2 into Juno, and 1 in Chiyoda. And the thing is, they come back, though, and say, we decimated them. We saw these explosions and all this stuff. And come to find out, because, right, you're in the heat of battle, you're panicking, you're trying to worry about fuel. What they were really reporting was near misses. So it was all these water spouts. Like right there, that looks like that carrier is getting absolutely mauled. Mm-hmm. Most of those are just the bombs hitting water and tossing it up in the air, not actually hitting the carrier itself. Not only that, they put 2 bombs into the battleship Haruna, and then they all start making their way home. So this is, when you compare it to the Battle of Midway, it seems like, well, these guys must have sucked. Like, I thought these were better pilots. Why did they sink everything? And you have to remember this. They're very concerned about getting home. So as they do that, 206 American planes will start making their way back. 20 are lost over the Japanese fleet. And what happens is, as they start flying back to the east, some of them start running out of fuel. And some squadrons, they all ditch together for the safety of numbers. Others kind of just petered out and fell down and eventually ditch. All right, and so they do this all the way across. Now, back at the fleet, thankfully for the pilots, the men in charge of those fleets are aviators themselves. So Admiral Mark Mitcher is one of the earliest naval aviators. Admiral Jocko Clark is another early aviator. And it's actually Clark who, as the Americans are returning, suggests we turn on the lights. And he meant turning on the carrier's deck lights and its big searchlights straight up in the air as a beacon. And this, of course, is very bad thing to do because it then highlights where you are to enemy submarines, which we've seen the Americans already had great success with those. And while this is happening, Admiral Mitcher says, his staff comes up to him and says, Clark in Task Force 58-1 has turned on his lights. And instead of scolding him, Mitcher says, without really clarifying, turn all the lights on. And what happens is every ship in the fleet turns all their lights on. Mm-hmm. So there's this beautiful, mass array of lights coming up. The pilots can see it for miles. Problem is, what's a destroyer? What's a carrier? Who knows? Because the pilots are told, land wherever. Don't try to find your own ship. Just find the first empty flight deck and land on it. And what happens is absolute chaos and mayhem. You can go to the next one. You have, you have pilots. One guy tried to land on a destroyer, which he didn't notice at the last second was a destroyer because all he saw was the lights and had to pull away and eventually ditched. On the USS Lexington, and I think I've told this story before on the stream, it had 2 planes land simultaneously, the first and only time in history that's happened because it's very unsafe. One guy caught the 2-wire, the other guy caught the 4-wire, and they didn't realize that they had actually landed at the same time until they both got out and then immediately probably started crapping their pants thinking, where the hell did you come from? But as a result of this, all told, 80 aircraft are lost on that return flight on the mission Beyond Dark. So a lot of them ditch and are either ditching amongst the fleet, like in this painting, they're ditching next to a destroyer. And as a result of that, right, so the Americans, they lose a lot of planes in this. But later on, and this is why it's important that the admirals are aviators, is these guys go out of their way to find as many of these people as possible. So while they lost 80 planes, 3/4 of those crews were found in the next few days and into the week. One guy was actually found, I think it was 17 days later, and it's only because it's a crazy story of there was a guy on Jocko Clark's staff, and one of their favorite pilots had been lost, and everybody's really upset about it, and this one guy runs up and he says, I had a dream that, and I'm blanking his name, which I think it's Smokey Stover, but I'm not 100% sure. I had this dream that he's in a raft, and we need to go here. He's here, and right. What kind of admiral is another one? What kind of admiral takes a guy's dream and says, "All right, let's steam that way"? And it wasn't that far out of the way, and they do it, and sure than hell they find the guy who is at the edge of delirium because he's been in a raft with no shade for almost 2 weeks. The guy's been like eating seagulls and all this horrible. He ate He ate a seagull that landed on his head, so he just captured the thing and ate it because what the hell else are you gonna do? Mm-hmm. But they eventually got a lot of these guys back, and what this does is forever enshrine Admiral Mitcher as the true pilot's admiral, and that he will do anything he can to get his men back. But that was 75 years ago today.
Well, it's kind of relevant to what we're going to see tonight, especially in terms of the value of these experienced pilots. Because
certainly
that is kind of what the Confederation is banking on as we go up against the Kilrathi. That the Kilrathi have these new supercarriers, but they don't have trained pilots to crew them, so they're going to spread everybody too thin. And see how that goes.
Well, yeah, and that's one of the big things in that, right? We'll talk about how the importance of how the Kilrathi have a different problem. Whereas now they have too many decks, not enough pilots for all their planes, which is something that you don't really see that often. Lucky bastards. But yeah, that was 75 years ago today.
So here's a little slideshow that I wasn't even planning to do this one, but it hit me as I was putting the show together, and I was under the gun all day because I had this big deadline for work that I absolutely had to get this thing in early in the morning, and then I just kind of groggily setting up the show, and for whatever reason I included this in my list, and once I put something on my list, I'm gonna put it on the show. But
that's basically true.
Here is there's a Hornet Cockpit.
Hello.
Which you will recognize as the classic PC Hornet. Mm-hmm. I wanted to show a comparison of how the cockpits were redesigned for the Super Nintendo version. Because I think people don't realize this, that they're actually pretty different. And it's more than just changing the aspect ratio for the 4:3 output. So compare this PC Hornet, Super Nintendo Hornet. PC Hornet, Super Nintendo Hornet. The whole dashboard is redrawn.
Yeah.
The shields are totally different. There's no visible chunks on the side. You only have that center viewing area in the middle.
It's compressed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's not even the big one. In fact, I think the 99.9999999% of Super Nintendo screenshots you see are really Wing Commander 1 screenshots in general are Enyo 1, somebody loaded up the game, took a picture of the first part of it where there's a cockpit, and then quit. So you kind of see these two all the time. Now take a look at the scimitars.
Scimitars. That's a tease for later. We'll see scimitars later.
So this is the PC one, the classic PC gun slug.
Yep.
Compare this.
You mean Ram Bandit?
Ram Bandit, yeah.
You like that? Yeah, I just
I don't like that at all. It's awful.
Thanks, you jerk. Hello.
Yes, look at that. The VDUs are moved to the bottom. The top is all done differently.
I have to say I'm in love with the shield and armor.
It's so much better on because it's if you look at the PC one, you can't even see the forward armor in a scimitar.
Yeah,
so they've totally redone it for the.
Well, I just love how it even has more armor apparently in every direction,
yeah.
And it makes that the weird shape cross thing they have for it look better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Raptor.
Gunstar.
Raptor.
Gunstar.
No, one's pretty similar, but obviously they redrew it. It's
taller. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's compressed and pulled
the
displays
a little bit. Are different. The shield displays are different. Yep. And if you look closely, you can see
they've changed the
greebling is different.
Yeah, the shape of the ship in the armor display, they've actually flattened it as opposed to pulling it. The one in the PC version is skinnier than that one, which is interesting.
And then the last...
What the hell are you shooting at, though? What is that in front of you?
Oh, interesting question, and I hadn't even thought about that. That is the Guinevere.
What?
So yeah, exactly.
What?
But you'll notice it's not an Exeter, it's a Venture.
I don't even... First off, we're looking at it from the rear, so I was like, what... I thought... I don't know what I thought. I'm not even going to lie. At first, I was like, wow, that Hornet or something looks messed up, or that's a weird angle of the Tigers. Okay, but...
So one of the limitations in they were limited in the number of ships they could have on the cartridge because it's so small compared to the PC release. So they replaced any Confederation capital ship in Seeker missions with the Venture because it was new.
Okay.
So instead of the Guinevere being in fact, that might even be the Guinevere. That may be one of the ones you escort early on. But they replaced all the capital ships with Venture. So they even changed the dialogue. So Iceman tells you about this Venture class corvette that has a load of fighters that
Wow.
Yeah.
That are strapped on in a trailer in the back that they haul around campus. What the hell?
Anyway, and last but not least,
Okay.
here's the rapier.
Hey, and then
And, pretty different, especially the different displays.
what do we got there? Is that a Ralari or what the
No,
hell?
it's a Sivar.
That's a C. Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
that's the end of the game.
Oh, I didn't see I wasn't even looking down at the damn VDE like an idiot. Oh, it's right there. Interesting.
So yeah, I figured I would share that. I love looking at the differences in the console versions, and that is one you don't think about when you see just one of these screenshots, but when you put them next to each other,
Yeah.
it's super interesting.
Yeah, I think because your brain just assumes that the colors, you see enough of the same color that you just blur it all together that they're identical, sure.
Oh yeah, that's the tan one. That's the red one.
Yep, exactly, yeah. Yeah, because when you were flipping back and forth, it's like, okay, I see the subtle pulls and crushes that they've done to make those fit.
Now I've got a couple things I've seen on social media. Obviously, I'm quite a social media butterfly. I'm out there doing the Twitter all the time.
Tweet. You like that?
Yeah.
Every time you say that, I'm going to do the butterfly from now on.
I'm never going to say it again.
I will get you to say it again.
So this is a couple of things I just spotted on social media. Things folks have posted that struck me as interesting in Wing Commandery.
Okay.
This was an image that an account on Twitter called Amiga Love is a Zero posted. This is the install icon on Wing Commander 1 for the Amiga, which shows the Amiga 2000 as the example computer, which is apparently not the norm for an Amiga icon. I thought that was great.
That's interesting.
I also came across a fellow named Retro Rat on Instagram who does shadow boxes of classic video games. Well, he'll take a screenshot and he'll cut it up and put it in a shadow box with like foam core to make it have depth when you look at it.
Okay.
Which is a really cool project, and we should do that ourselves. That would be a cool craft project for our show to do. And he has done, this is teaser, Wing Commander 1.
Oh,
and you can see he has like the different parts are raised in different areas, so it has depth to it. And he does all sorts of things like side scrollers, and you see a lot of people who do like Mario and classic games. This is the first time I've ever seen anybody do Wing Commander.
Wait. Who?
Mario?
Mario?
Mario. Okay.
Mario. Look
I
at listen.
knew
This
you'd
is
say
your
it
dog.
both ways.
Hey, Dosavia.
Me and Mario.
It's me and Mario.
Pizza.
Hey. You let that Das V go to your head. You get all fancy.
No, it's the Italian food we have for dinner. Ali made
That's right.
meat pasta.
Pasta bolognese.
Pasta mito.
Pasta bolognese.
Anyway, I thought that was really cool, and I want to make one myself, or failing that, I want to buy one of his, because he sells them. But he has not listed that one yet.
So you're telling me is that we're going to make one?
Yeah.
All right, good.
In fact, Ali has already volunteered to help make one. So
Excellent.
It'll be good. This is something that I brought up on Twitter.
Don't encourage him, Michael.
This is something I brought up on Twitter. I'll search for Wing Commander. I'll go through and block the 9,000 accounts that are Pakistani Indian propaganda bots talking about their Wing Commander. But when somebody mentions Wing Commander or something interesting, I try to reply with, something positive and interesting. And there was somebody who was tweeting about how they had heard that System Shock, another classic origin game, took place in the same universe as Wing Commander. And I pointed out System Shock actually began life as a Wing Commander game. And I got 1 million retweets and comments from people about this, because apparently nobody knew this. And I'm going to share it with you right now. System Shock...
Hello, big block of text.
Here's the second page. System Shock began its life as a project called Alien Commander, pitched by the great Warren Spector in 91-92. And this document right here is that pitch document. It came from Origins, from Warren Spector's papers that he's donated to the University of Texas. We went and took photos of stuff, and that's there. But the pitch was called Alien Commander. If you read through this, you'll see it's very, very similar to System Shock, especially in that... the mechanics, you're boarding a derelict spacecraft and you're controlling robots and going in the computers and all this stuff. All the bones of System Shock are in there, but the setting to put it in the Wing Commander universe is incredible. And outrageous. The proposal was that the setting be the abandoned hulk of the Tiger's Claw after it was destroyed.
Okay.
Which has been taken over by the double helix aliens mentioned in
Yeah,
claw marks.
Okay, the pheromone ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they have these repair bots that are going through and hunting for people or whatever, and you're a salvage person, and you go in there and you go through these levels, and you can see he has a little mock-up right there that looks just like System Shock eventually did. He had that view down. They changed that very, very, very quickly, of course. It was, but a little bit of Wing Commander in the DNA, and of course there's a little bit of Wing Commander in the whatever DNA turns into too, because the CD version of System Shock has
DNA. I believe that's called Life.
the living,
breathing soul was actually from a Wing Commander seed.
So if you play the System Shock CD, there are all these mini games that you play in your mini VDU. For the CD version, they did a game called Wing Zero, which is a parody of Wing Commander. It's got like a dozen missions where you fight the Tricathy, and it has all the tropes. There's a traitor, or they send you off on a mission alone. It's just, you're taking the piss out of Wing Commander in a really fun, kindy way. And then there's the CD version.
Yep.
This screenshot right here. So in the Wing Commander universe, to answer the person's original question, no, System Shock is not in the same universe as Wing Commander, but in Wing Commander, System Shock is a movie.
Okay.
So if you have Victory Streak, the Wing Commander 3 manual, it has a page with movie and music and album reviews. One of them is for a movie called Hail Shodan, which is the robot from System Shock, and it's Hail Shodan radiates with cyberpunk action and the good looks of Clint Mason. Ooh. After streetwise hacker James Finn Mason accepts the challenge to punch deck into Citadel Research Station, he unknowingly removes the logic systems behind the station's artificial intelligence. Finn finds himself trapped in a steel jungle with nothing but his good looks and a few electromagnetic grenades. The furious pace of this epic game-based holovid will send you reeling through the aisles. The ending will astonish you. 2.24 hours, 3 stars.
Jesus, that's a long movie for that. For an action flick, 2.5 hours?
Well, these days, they saw that trend coming.
Gee, yeah, that's true. What we need is another 3-hour movie to go back into theaters.
And the reason I have this screenshot right here is
hello.
In an even more tremendously fun thing.
Yeah?
I forgot I took this out. So
that's okay.
This is the copy of the version of Victory Streak for the 3DO, which is the slightly updated manual, and they had to lay it out for this little
teeny thing.
If you look at that page of the review, it actually has this System Shock screenshot.
Oh, nice.
Which it turns out was from the System Shock press kit, which is in full color right there.
I don't even know how to do that either. In full color.
Living color. That was our descent into the world of System Shock.
Whoa, no descent here, man. Wing Commander only.
But yeah, descent kind of follows. And interestingly, System Shock is theoretically in the same universe as Origins Crusader series, because the top line newsletter that you get that comes with Crusader has a story about how they're building the Citadel Station and the Shodan AI, and there's all these little references like that. And I remember them saying, because they put some references to Crusader being in the past in Secret Ops. They mentioned the WEC as like an early Earth government, which is the government from Crusader. And I think it was Captain Johnny again who pointed out at the time, like the only thing that keeps Crusader from being in the same world as Wing Commander is that it has teleporters. So it's different universes, but they liked referencing each other because that's fun.
Nothing in Wing Commander.
And for this next one, I'm going to assume that folks out there have already seen Howard Day's really cool.
Wait, you mean the greatest thing on the forums at the moment?
And we're going to be sharing that in the news segment in a few minutes. But one really cool thing that came out of that I think belongs in this section is he tweeted it at Sivan Beeman, the director of Wing Commander 2, saying, "Oh, is this what you were thinking?" And she replied, "Oh, that's awesome." And then she gave a little bit of backstory about Wing Commander and the physics of it that absolutely fascinated me, and I was gonna, be like one of those obnoxious news services where I just quote somebody's tweets because they're interesting. I want these on the record. They were talking about the space debris in the game and how it set Wing Commander apart from other terrestrial sims at the time. And she said, it's funny what a huge difference the space dust debris makes. We were competing with terrestrial flight sims like the all-time great Chuck Yeager's Air Combat. And I think part of something as simple as the dust was a big part of our accessibility edge over them. And then Howie said something about how, it's lucky you happen to be here where there's all this junk in space because space is not that dense. Yeah. And she replied, there's a canon explanation for that, actually. Fights take place at and around jump points, and jump points lie at the intersections of islands of graviton flux. Debris collects to and flows along those like plastic in the ocean.
Oh, there you go.
So every battle takes place in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, essentially.
Okay.
It's the same reason our asteroid fields are so absurdly overdense. A Wing Commander asteroid field is roughly as dense as Saturn's rings. And that is something people complained about for years, and it's amazing that they had something like that in their head. And
to justify it. Yeah, it's a good explanation.
And knowing the physics doc they did for Wing Commander 2, which had all that gravity stuff and backstory, that is contemporary. That is something they would have been thinking about. So I thought that was cool.
That is very cool. That is very... I'm trying to think, too, because when she said that Chuck Yeager's, when you shoot an enemy, it just gives you those little... the circles smoke. You get white
it gives you
and
the
then
sensation
black.
Of movement, which games did not necessarily have at the time.
Yeah. I remember that being a big deal. The little circular puffs, the white and then the black, and that's right.
Another thing we had talked about last week, this is one of our follow-ups, was where is the Gemini sector in the Wing Commander universe?
Where is it?
Well, here is the Wing Commander universe map, and it's hard to see in this totality of it, but it is essentially the top center, the blue part that's
under ING.
Yeah, under ING
is a good way to think of it, right?
In fact, you can see it a little bit better in the original version. This was the version Origin posted to their WingCommanderProphecy.com website in 1997, asking fans, like, what should we include?
Oh,
this was Captain Johnny's mock-up version as he was laying it out originally. So you can see it is the second quadrant from the second sector from the left at the top, and what does that mean? Here's the sector itself, as you would have seen in Privateer. What does that mean in the galaxy? This is the part of the Wing Commander universe that is the galaxy map of the Milky Way. The ridge closest to you is the top.
I love it. You can't see his hands, but he's explaining with his hands how this is. Yes.
The arc that's seemingly closer to you, to the outer edge of the galaxy, it's dead center in the middle of that.
Yes.
Whereas the Kilrathi Empire is... anyway, you can figure it out from the map.
Yeah, you're smart.
And I threw in here also, this is from the Confederation Handbook. These are the Charybdis. These are the places that you can jump to from Charybdis. The Charybdis Quasar from the movie is in the Dakota system, by the way, in the Vega sector. So apparently Aldebaran, Existen 1927, Oxford, and Metzor are all accessible via Charybdis jump if you have a Pilgrim and
Easy all that Hopper Pilgrim.
And one more map instance of Gemini. This is a capture from the Blu-ray of the Wing Commander movie. And if you look just under maybe you can't even see it, but it says Gemini in the map just under upper left.
Wait, upper left. What do you mean? By the cross?
By me, basically.
By you.
By
so
you
like
even be
right
covered.
here.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
Now you're pointing at it.
Yeah, I know. Well, I'm looking for my own benefit, not for that one. Whatever.
So this is the painting that they did at Digital Anvil for that intro that they pan over with a camera and they put special effects over it to light up different parts, and you can see it's taken right from the Wing Commander universe map, and Gemini is right up there at the top. So. Cool stuff.
That's where Gemini is.
And we have this in giant resolution at the CIC. It's so exciting to look through because it's supposed to be like an ancient Pilgrim star map, and it's got all these like constellations and there's sea monsters and weird objects all hidden in there, and it's so cool to look through. Someday we'll just do like a 4-hour show of just piece by piece looking through that map. I want to do it right now.
How about we break that into like 4 1-hour shows instead?
No,
I feel like
1 4-hour show.
This is something that you would tell me is not a good idea. That's what I believe you would say.
Well, I would be wrong if I said that.
Probably.
This is a good afterburn selection. We got a lot of stuff this weekend. It's
We
all
do.
really interesting.
We do. I know. We just cracked over we're at an hour and 4 minutes. So yeah, we're burning.
Wow, we were really.
We're burning. Yeah, we're
time on this one.
We are. Yeah, a good thing you got that engine upgrade because otherwise we would have run out of speed by now. Would we have those other things? But I don't think we have much. I think there's just two more.
Yeah.
Two more.
Well,
Two more.
And I apologize. A fellow named Stephen K was in the chat the other day, and he posted a video he did playing the piano and singing the Privateer Ship Song's intro. So, of course, I had to save that to replay it because look at what the terrible things we do are influencing other people. So here you go.
I'm glad you didn't call it our song there. I was hoping I was going to say, no, it's yours.
Oh, we should share credit. We should be like Destiny's Child. Here's his song. This is... We sing along, but we can't hear it. So that happened.
Yes, it did.
Thank you. I thank you for justifying our terrible choices.
Now there are 4 people that have sung this song.
Yeah, because
on the
Allie's
record.
sang it.
Yes, that's right. Because Allie's sang it too. That's right.
It's getting there. Another couple million, and we'll have a gold record on our hands.
Next thing you know, it'll be on Spotify. Oh boy.
And the next thing I'm going to share is a longer video that was done by our producer, Trelane. After the show last week, he had been thinking about how Privateer deals with credits, and what are some of the edge cases? What's the maximum number of credits? What happens if you're flying if you're flying a mission and you have no credits and can you land even though it wants 50 credits? And he basically took things apart and explained everything in a video. It's about 13 or so minutes long. It's really, really cool though, and I want to share the whole thing because it's really neat. And he explains. He does such a good job of explaining how these numbers work and teaching you about them. So we're gonna step aside for a minute and let him take it with his video. That's actually fancier looking than anything we do. So.
Well, hey everyone. This is Trelane. I've got a little something here. It's a multimedia spectacular. I'm going to be teaching you some stuff about Privateer and just having a little fun as well. So the other day during the All Wings Considered, a couple things were brought up in the chat. One thing that I thought of was, so in Privateer, one thing that happens that I didn't even realize this until recently, but every time you land, there's a 50 credit fee. I don't know if it's refueling or it's a landing surcharge or who knows. But yeah, every time you land, you get charged 50 credits. So I was wondering, what happens if you don't have the 50 credits? What happens? Do you go negative? Do you not get to land? Is it a game over? I mean, none of those seem realistic, but I was just kind of curious. Now, someone in the chat who was Seth20Geo, he said that it still lets you land even with less than 50 credits. They're flexible with the fees is what he said. And not that I don't believe him, and that seems completely reasonable. That's actually what I guessed would have been the answer, but I just wanted to see with my own eyes what happens. And also Tarsus, Arugula Tarsus in the chat, also asked, does Privateer have a money limit? And these are very similar questions, actually, because they're both we can actually do both of these things by just seeing what happens. So if you watched the stream, you probably saw that Loaf had a credit counter going while he was playing. So we can actually use that to see what exactly happens in the game when we're playing. So let's do a little experimenting and see what goes on. So I'm going to start by doing a real brief little explanation on how Privateer and just computers in general store numbers. So let's get going. Hopefully this isn't too dry, but I want to teach you guys something. So let's go. So how does Privateer store credits? So let's explore this question. So for example, we have 3,831 credits. That's represented as decimal, which is very convenient and it's readable for humans. This is a base 10 number system. It's not that convenient for computers, though. So what computers do with both credits and all information, they store it in binary. Binary is a base 2 number system. So rather than having 10 digits to pick from, 0 through 9, you only have 2. You have 0 and 1. So that series of zeros and ones, so each one of those is called a bit. So right there is 16 bits, and that is the binary representation of 3,831. Now, that's not very convenient for people, so we use what's called hexadecimal. Hexadecimal is base 16, meaning you have up to 16 different digits. So they go 0 through 9, and then A through F. And that basically lets you represent 15 different numbers with one character. It's a more convenient way of exploring, showing binary data for a human who's looking at it. Rather than a bunch of zeros and ones, you can look at a single character. So each group of 4 bits can be shortened to one hexadecimal digit, and it follows that 1 byte, which is 8 bits, can be shortened to 2 hexadecimal digits. So let's just see what that's like. So there's that previous sequence of bits shortened to 0EF7. That's the hexadecimal representation. Now, Privateer, it gives you 32 bits, which is 4 bytes of memory for your credits. So this is actually represented in memory as a whole bunch of more zeros. So you have, what do we have? We have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 zeros. And then we have that 3,837, I think. So there's a lot of wasted space there for only 3,000 credits. So how high can that go? What if all of them were 1? That would be a lot. That'd be a lot of credits. That'd be 4,294,967,295 credits. That's a lot. So that's actually 2 to the 32nd power minus 1. The reason it's minus 1 is because you have 0 at the beginning. So it's 2 to the 32nd minus 1. So that's a lot of credits, right? But it's actually not quite that simple. Why? Why is it not that simple? Why can't we get 4 billion credits? Well, it gets a little tricky because negative numbers. So in Privateer, you can't have negative numbers. So it doesn't really apply in this situation. But, in other instances with just general numbers, you might have a negative number. You might have a negative balance in a bank account. You might have, you might just be subtracting a number, and that's a negative number. So we need a way of representing that. So in a computer, that byte of FF actually represents 2 different numbers, depending on whether it is a unsigned integer. That means it's an integer, a number that cannot be negative. It has no sign at the beginning, so it's always positive. What that means, 1 byte can range from 0 to 255, which is 2 to the 8th power minus 1. A signed integer can be negative, but the catch is it has a smaller maximum value. So the way we do negative numbers is we use one of those bits to represent whether it's negative or not. If it's set to 1, then it's a negative number. If it's set to 0, it's a positive number. But because we have one less bit to actually store the number information in, it's a smaller range. So that 1 byte can range from negative 128 to 127. So it has a smaller maximum value. So in binary, you have 0 and then 1s, and that represents 127. That's 2 to the 8th power minus 1. And 2 to the 7th power minus 1. As long as the first bit is 0, it's a positive number. So what happens if we add 1 to that? In that case, it would turn into 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And now that first bit is 1, it's suddenly negative because that's what that first bit represents. So if you add 1 to it, you get negative 128. which can be super inconvenient if you don't know what you're doing, because you'll add a number to a very large number, and then you suddenly have a very, very small number in the negative range. So that goes back to privateer. How high do the credits go? Well, you'd think it would be an unsigned integer, because in privateer, there's no way to have a negative amount of credits. You can't go into the negative. It just isn't possible. But for some reason, the developers back in the 90s at Origin, they decided to represent credits as a signed integer. So what that means is the amount of credits you can have go from negative 2,147,483,648, which is negative 2 to the 31st power, all the way up to 2,147,483,647, which is 2 to the 31st power minus 1. It's still a lot of credits. I mean, I've never cracked 1 million in privateer, so I'm sure there are people who have, but that takes a lot of work to get that many credits. So if you were to go into the billions, that's a lot of credits and a lot of wasted time. But let's prove it. Let's actually see how this happens. So I'm going to fire up privateer right now. Here we go. We got privateer running. We have the credit counter going, and let's see what happens here. Hold on, just gonna throw a little music on in the background. So here we are. We're in privateer. We have 3,581 credits. Let's just visit the commodity exchange real quick. So right now I have 1 robot servant in my inventory, so I'll keep that around because I want to sell that later. But let's start here. First of all, let's ask the question, what happens when you don't have the 50 credits to land? Because that's an easy one. So what I'm going to do, I added a new feature to my my credit counter here. So I'm going to set my credits. Let's let's do a little proof here first, because I personally didn't even know that you had this 50 credit fee until recently. So let's start here. And let's go. So we have 3581. So if there's a 50 credit fee, it should
better clear out.
It should drop by 50 credits when we land. So let's just turn right back. There's New Detroit. Let's land.
Now entering an automatic landing.
So we get here on the surface and watch the credits. 3581. And hey, it just dropped. We just lost 50 credits. Interesting. But now, what if we don't have 50 credits? What happens? So let's set our credits to a lower level. Let's set it to, let's say we have 25. What if you only have 25 credits? What happens then? So let's just prove that worked. We'll go into our computer and see we only have 25 credits. So we did successfully change. Let's just take off and land. Let's see what happens. So we're here.
Welcome
Space.
to the happy hunting grounds.
Another bounty hunter. Interesting. Let's land. Let's watch what happens.
Now entering an automatic landing.
So watch the credits. We have 25. You hit the surface and we have nothing now. They take all of your money. Even if you can't even afford the fee, they're like, we'll take whatever you have. Tough luck, pal. So they'll basically take up to 50 credits. If you don't have 50 credits, they will take whatever you have. But let's see what happens with 0. Unfortunately, it's not that interesting. I've already tested this. But you land, and let's see what happens.
Now entering an automatic landing zone.
And nothing happens, unfortunately. 0 credits, you stay at 0 credits. Alright, so let's explore the other question. What is the maximum amount of credits that you can have? So right now, we have 0. We have 0 credits. That's no good. We can't do a whole lot with 0 credits. But let's manipulate that, because I'm very smart and I made a way to cheat in this game. So we are going to set our credits to a very high number. We are going to set it to that maximum value for a signed 32-bit integer. So that probably don't remember, and I also don't remember, so I have it here in front of me. is 2,147,483,647 credits. All right, we hit OK. Oh, look at that! You got a lot of money now. Let's just confirm. Let's see what happens. We have go in here. And look at that. 640. That's the 647, 483,147 million, and then the 2 billion. So we made it up that high. We got a lot of money now. Let's see what happens. Let's go to the commodity exchange, because remember, so look at that. We got a lot of credits. It does fit on the screen. They actually do manage to fit all 10 numbers there. But what if we sell this? Because remember, we're at the maximum right now. So what if I sell something and we go over that maximum? So in-game, something happened here. So the game says we have 2,147,483,152. So it sees the negative number, but it just doesn't put the negative number there. So do we have negative credits? Is that really what happened? Because it didn't look like it, right? But let's look at the computer. Let's look in here. So they actually did put the negative in this screen. So maybe at some point they had planned of having a way for you to have negative credits. Not really sure, but so we do have negative money right now. We have a lot of negative money, actually. We're more than 2 billion credits in the hole, and that's tricky because now that we've overflowed and we're at that maximum negative range, we can't buy anything. Like, we can't buy anything because it's seeing that we have a very, 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 very small amount of money, and it's just saying, no, you don't have enough. That's not enough. So really, if we weren't cheating, the only way to get ourselves out of this situation is to start earning money, a lot of money, and get back into the positive. So it's definitely not recommended that you overflow into the negative. And we can adjust it. We can go back and we can reset our credits to a more reasonable amount. Let's say like 100,000. But yeah, as soon as you go over that limit, you are in the hole by a lot, and you're probably never getting out. Yeah, so just wanted to share that with you guys. Learn something a little new, and do a little proof of how computers work. Hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, that was pretty cool.
Yes. I was sorry. You told you it was just going on. Yes. It was fantastic.
No, I love that sort of stuff, and since I do not have a brain for math, it is really exciting hearing
that's
it from
my
somebody
line.
who does.
I don't have the brain for math.
Neither of us have brains for math. We're history and liberal arts jerks.
Yep. That's why we have beards and I have no hair.
Is that... Am I going to...
Yes.
Two quick follow-ups that Trelane went on to look up after that video. If you land with your billions of credits in debt, it does waive the landing fee and it resets your credit balance to 0.
Hey.
So that's a way to fix that issue. If you somehow earn so much money, you have no money anymore.
You break it. Okay.
The other, which I had asked him about, was if you take off with 0 credits, but you're doing a mission, when you land, does it think you have 0 and not take the 50 credits out, or does it credit you with the mission reward and then take the credits out?
Gotcha.
And he tested that, and it turned out it's the latter. So if you go in there with a mission for 4,000 credits and you have 0, you complete the mission, you land. The game first awards you the 4,000 credits, and then it takes 50 away, so you get 3,950.
That's good.
So, really interesting seeing those edge cases. And if you ever wondered what being a QA tester in a video game is like, it's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. Over and over and over, and I'm thinking of you right now, Popsicle Pete, as he gave me giant lists of things where he's like, in this mission in standoff, I need you to try all these things and then think of things I haven't thought of. And I was like, that's great. My laptop's a hunk of crap.
So with that, it's time for the space news.
Oh.
All right. My space news.
Oh, I didn't realize I was that close. Is that close where I can...
Oh, I think I'm on the other side of the room.
Whoa, jeez, that is... I didn't realize that was the danger zone. Oh, my. I'll make sure to note that.
Anyway, first up, a video called Wing Commander Evolution by a YouTube user named Pili Crandalai. Link to the WC News. It's another really well done video showing how Wing Commander's graphics evolved. So from the VGA talking heads to live action and so on. It just goes through all sorts of different texts that you can see how much they evolved in the early 90s, which was just a crazy period of growth for games. So that's super interesting. It's 5 minutes. I encourage you to check it out. Next up, The Great Pix has added the worst Wing Commander guide to his website. If you are if you're not familiar with Pix's website, he is an Origin fan. He did basically a blog maybe 10 years back where he played through every single Origin game and wrote about his experiences. Not just the good ones like Wing Commander, but stuff like Cyber Mage and Metal Morph, everything. He played every single Origin game and wrote about it. And in the process, he scanned all the documentation, all the official guides, and he puts them up in a library. So if you've ever wanted to see any of these books that you may have missed, he has them all available. But he realized the other day that he was missing one, which is this, the Authorized Combat Guide to Wing Commander 3.
What? Sorry, what? No. Can't see it. Censor. That's all I got on the spot.
So
it's bad.
It is bad. Here are a couple of shots from the inside. It's
You don't want to open it to show. Yeah, don't open up the actual book. It gets
it's a Holy Grail type thing. No, it's all the screenshots are all washed out. They don't really connect to the guide at all. It has these long, strange, like space filling, like cloud thoughts from the author. It has clip art from the 90s. It's not a well put together product. And basically this resulted from, back at the time, there were essentially two major publishers of game guides. There was Prima, which was part of Penguin, and Brady Publishing, which was part of Random House. And when a company wanted to do an official guide, they would sign a deal with either one of them, one or the other, saying, okay, we're going to provide you game assets, or in the case of Origin stuff, often we're actually going to do the writing and layout ourselves, and you publish it. Usually, whoever signed that deal determined which company would publish the guide, and they just would not bother. But for certain titles, like Wing Commander 3, which was the best-selling PC game in history at the time, the competing company figured, there's a chance for us to get into the action. We could release a guide that's cheaper, that's more available to vendors. There's a chance to make money, so we're going to do one too. And in those cases, they did not get inside information from the developers. They had to essentially buy the game like everybody else, play it as quickly as possible, figure out how it worked, write a guide, and publish it to have it out there as quickly as possible. And that is what happened here. This is
what happens, Larry.
This is, and it's unofficial, uncensored, unlicensed, and unauthorized. And
uncensored.
It shows.
Is there
it's uncensored. Yeah.
What's in there worth censoring?
That's a good
question. The entire damn thing, you mean? Where were the East German censors when you needed them, right?
So Pix has the whole thing scanned, and it's interesting.
There's a few megabytes the internet will never get back.
Next up, we've got a new poll at WC News, which is asking your favorite faction logo, with these faction logos designed by, of course, Defiance Industries. Go vote for the Weird Retro Eye. That's a good one.
Sorry, the Confit Star is crushing everything.
It is. I've noticed about internet polls, they always tend to be very, very conservative. It's always the thing you'd think.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't decide when I saw it earlier whether it should be the Star or I like the Border Worlds one a lot, too.
And finally, and most exciting of all, we have
Whoa!
Howard Day's thing we talked about earlier. This is him creating a Wing Commander tribute game with new assets in the Unity engine, and he has been doing all sorts of work. He's created a Drolthy, he's created an Ace Drolthy, he's added explosions and lasers and some basic AI. It's basically right now the game plays itself, and he has this demo. This is an animated GIF, but I will go ahead and thanks
I just want to say, is that our first animated GIF in the news?
No, we've had animated GIFs.
Bullshit. No,
But
I haven't.
Thanks to the fact that you can load Unity in a browser, he has his demo online for anybody to check out. So you can watch his game in progress playing itself, and thanks to the magic of OBS, I can bring that up right here. This is actually being played live.
This is only a test.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pretty neat.
What the hell? Oh, is it the whoa? We got
This
a
is Wingman.
Wingman, and you thought they were bad in Special Operations 1. You ain't seen nothing yet.
And I can just watch this forever if you want. It's super, super cool.
He does a great job.
Yeah.
He really, really does.
So cool. And
He's always been like inspired to do Wing Commander stuff over the years. He's been around for quite a while.
I've been chatting for him. We have all these ideas for what we could do with this, and there's some exciting stuff that could happen. So pretty neat.
This is not any version of Wing Commander. This is one that a fan has made.
Yeah, it's made in Unity.
That was a question from a new chat who just popped in.
Yes, it basically Wing Commander 1
So actually,
up-res.
let me ask for myself, because I don't know. What is Unity just kind of like a basic engine that you can...
Yes, Unity is an
something?
engine that is... I don't know the technical GPL. It's free for everyone, basically.
Okay.
You can pick up Unity and learn it. And the reason this all got started was, again... in fact, it connects back to you, because you have been playing Sigil, and I tweeted...
Thanks for me.
I tweeted something about Sigil, like, oh, this is really neat, it's cool to see John Romero doing this, could we get... And then I added Shaban Beeman and said, could we get a new Wing Commander 2 add-on from Shaban Beeman?
Oh, there you go.
Which is something we could make.
Oh, that's
They've
true,
taken
yeah.
Wing Commander 2 apart, and you can remake it with XML now. She replied and said, oh, we don't really have that ability. Wing Commander 2 is very hard-coded. But if you're interested in learning Unity, I'd be happy to help you. And I said, oh, that's super cool. I don't have a brain for that, but I'm willing to give it a try. And Howard said, oh, I've actually been playing with something, and here. And it just has gone from there, and it's really cool looking.
Oh, that wasn't you. I have to ask Michael to do something. Cause I was trying to share a link to the new person about that, and I forgot that you have to add to me when we have I forgot about it.
No, yeah.
So let me just move on.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to start the next Privateer 2 ship section. Because if you remember last time, we finished the PLs and the PRs. It's time to go to the MLs.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Put your hands up.
Put your hands up indeed for the ML01 Duress Light Fighter.
That sounds like we're in Duress. We've been in Duress for weeks going over this.
This is our start of our third series of Privateer 2 civilian ships.
That's ridiculous.
This is the Duress. This is the light fighter from that line. And this is where things get really interesting if you're interested in potentially made-up taxonomy of Privateer 2 ships. And baby, I am. So here's the Duress, the civilian. It's got a really cool Lisa Frank paint scheme with the
Blue and gray.
turquoise, yeah.
It's very southwesty. It's almost like that, a bolo tie type color. Here is its military counterpart, possibly the ML-1B.
Okay. Light fighter. If you play in the actual game, the military CIS fighters, Central Intelligence Service is what it stands for. They're marked as light fighter, medium fighter, heavy fighter, and extra heavy fighter.
Okay.
But if you look through the database, the CCN database, there's all sorts of notes about their actual class names. And that's one of the first exciting things you can do with Privateer 2 ships, because you see, carrier and dreadnought, and then you look at that and there's an entry for one, and the dreadnought is Yakyard class, and the carrier is Salvia class, and so on. The destroyer. And the military fighters show up there too. There's a little bit of contradictory information because some of them are listed twice, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But it seems like the intent is pretty clearly for this to be the military version of the Duress. It's referred to as the Duress multiple times, and it just looks the same. The wings are upturned instead of downturned, but it's very, very similar.
It just looks like they kind of flipped it, or not even flipped it, but just twisted those down a bit.
Yeah, and
not fully. I guess they're kind of the same angle.
And we've seen that with the similar designations in the past. The 1A and then the 1B of the ships are the follow-ups. And we're going to put that to the test this time, because here's the entire series we're going to be talking about over the next 6 weeks. And you can see right here that the Duress has the one, which is called both the Duress and the Faldari Mark II in text. I'll show you those references in just a second. The Heretic has the same thing. It's called the Faldari and the Faldari Mark II. The 3, which is the actual Faldari, is also called the Faldari Mark II. And it just goes on and on. And some of these seem very intentional, some of them seem accidental.
How could you imagine they ever lost track of all the ships in this game? I mean, I can't imagine.
Who knows?
That. I mean, it's not like they're just, named so well and organized so well.
So here you can see it's military ship, it's Duress class, and it has that picture. But we also have this same picture, it's a military ship, and it's Faldari Mark II class. My suspicion is this is an error, and it was intended to be Duress the whole time, but we should tell the whole story. Good ships on both sides. We also have this oddity, which is... This is called the Duress at one point in here, and that's clearly not a Duress. It looks more like a Tacon, and it is also called the Frege. So those are both iffier. We'll look at those more once we get to the Frege, but...
In week 9.
There's the VDU of our little boy.
A little demon-inspired S.
The military guy.
That same front end.
What
we got?
Looking at the stats, this is a pretty solid light fighter.
Okay.
Runs 40,000 credits, 280 KPS, 759 afterburners.
Okay.
60 KPS acceleration. It's a good for Privateer 2. This is a good all-around light fighter.
A little slow, but not bad.
Maneuverability 80. That's really good.
That's good.
Excellent shield 700.
Oh.
Armor sucks 350.
Yeah. Got to trade somewhere.
And then we've got our gun mounts, 2 gun mounts, so very simple, like most of the other light fighters. And for NPCs, it gives them a pair of Stream 1s, so absolutely no punch.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Missiles, though, it has a whole wedge of missiles. This is a missile array. 6 missiles on a light fighter, including 3 snipes at level 3, level 3, level 5, a Brute Mark II at level 7, a Python at level 7, and a Disruptor at level 9. Then we've got 4 components, a Decoy Mark 1, and a High-X Mine, which seems to be the standard for most of these.
Maybe that's not the best paint scheme at all.
Well, I have some bad news about this one. There is only 1 entry for a civilian ship, so you only get to enjoy 1 of these.
All right, R2.
So get all your jokes in right now. This is U-456 461V, private vessel, 4-year service. Ex-military use. License to travel on home system only.
So somebody bought an old junker and made their own. What a horrible... I don't like that it's like broken up.
Yeah, it's weird looking.
It's like it's bad camo. Whoa!
And we have 2 wingmen who fly them. This is Jack Purdy's. It says he's workmanlike. He's a basic cheap wingman.
He reminds me of one of the guys from like Coming to America. That Arsenio Hall.
Oh yeah.
One. Yeah.
I was thinking he looked kind of like the guy from
just the outfit reminds me
Red
of
Dwarf. Red Dwarf. And the fellow who was a picture of is an extra from the full motion video shoot.
What the hell is going on with this guy?
This is our second wingman, who's one of the higher end ones, Hengist Magnuson.
Okay.
And he's played by Nick Goldsworthy, who's one of the developers.
How much LSD was the Privateer 2 team taking?
Exactly the right amount.
I mean...
There's the Tacon looking thing. I wanted to throw that in there just in case.
Listen, I'm still hung up on Hegnant Magnuson's outfit. I mean, wow.
So this thing shows up in 8 different missions. I don't even know if I need to go through them all, but I will.
Shocker.
Missinio Couriers, it shows a bunch of multi-part missions, and sort of the running theme seems to be that pilots who fly these things betray company owners. Because part B of the Missinio Couriers cargo mission, you do the first mission, and you're given a chance to hunt down the pirates that stole the cargo from the first one, and it's 4 Chirichians flying Duresses. There's an SOS mission called Pilot Brad, where we have to go rescue a nation cargo courier who's under attack, and Brad is the Duress pilot, so approved by Brads.
Thanks, Brads.
Rescue him from the Papagods.
Does he play lacrosse, too?
There's a mission called Missinio Couriers X Mining Base, where the Kindred are attacking a former mining base at Nav 225, and one of the attacking Kindred flies a Duress. So this is a ship that a lot of pirates pick up, usually for their more covert missions. A mission called Tree Fellas, in which the Tree Fellas Lumber Company hires you to protect a shipment that's heading from Caraticus lumber and being attacked by the Chinchilla, and they've also hired 2 Duress pilots to cover it. So
everybody
sort of the generic escort ship there. The Davis and Company Armaments and Supplies escort mission, in which you protect a cargo shipment from the Chinchilla. 2 Duress pilots help you out there. There's also a Davis and Company Armaments and Supplies mission. It's a 3-part mission where you're stopping pirates from taking nerve weapons. And if you make it to the 3rd section of the mission, they offer you a chance to go and, again, destroy this Kiowan Duress pilot who has betrayed the company originally. There's a mission called Finbar Cratchit, in which an orphanage director hires you to...
Finbar Cratchit?
And he's the orphanage. It's a Dickens reference.
I gotcha, but I mean...
So he hires you to first to save his cargo of replacement organs for his children.
Oh, of course. Yeah, think about the children.
And then he sends you to go off and hunt down the pilots who previously betrayed the shipment of organs for the starving children, or not starving children, orphans.
The organless children.
So you hunt down 2 Duresses and 2 heretics. And finally, one of the full motion video missions, Bernice Barlow hires you to go and hunt down a businessman who has sexually harassed her. It's like the original Me Too sort of a situation, yeah. And he flies
with a murder for hire.
Murder for hire. That's a good solution to any of those things.
Sure,
there's a lot of those.
That sounds kind of normal. Gotcha.
So you go off and kill this businessman. And with that, I am going to turn off the slideshow, maybe, and let's take a look at this thing in action.
Let's go for a ride.
Too many windows, too many windows. I shouldn't sing because I'm not good at it.
I'm not going to join in because I know that...
Peer pressure, you got peer pressure.
I learned about that in health class in 7th grade. They were really big on that peer pressure. Basically what they told you, your friends are going to be dicks. So don't have any friends.
Your friends might want you to do drugs or have sex. No. Everybody just wants to do that.
No. Tell me, that's for the After Dark stream. All right.
It's pretty maneuverable.
Yeah, 80 you said? Jeez, that's spinning. That's spinning.
It never keeps your calibration.
Oh, did she?
It gives you that little drift after a couple of sessions.
Well, when you're flying around with a Warthog stick, that was,
I paid good money for this thing. Anyway,
all right,
here's what it looks like.
Not bad. I don't mind that paint scheme.
I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's like a junior heretic. We'll see the real heretic next time. But look at those little needle lasers.
It's interesting how in-game, though, the flare-ups at the end of the wings look much stronger than they do when you're on the angled shot. Those almost look vertical. Those are like 70 degrees?
Yeah, you're right. They
I don't know
are.
why my voice is cracked like that.
You're so excited about angled piglets.
I'm devolving.
Yeah, let's see how far this guy can get.
Let's see if you can get farther than last week where you got your face pushed in very, very quickly.
There's one.
That's almost... Alright, we're tied with last week. I think it was last week 2.
Last week was 2, I think.
Yeah, then you just got decimated out of nowhere.
You have been using the word decimated a lot today.
I wonder if that was in one of the books I've been reading. Decimation. All I know is I don't want to go to the 3rd Army. So,
suck.
Not ramming them. It's really just Roger. Oh, you have your button. Yeah, that's
In fact, let me know if this works.
Does that change anything?
Yeah, it does.
Because we think
That turns it down for me.
Is that way or sure if that actually controls anything or not? How's it now?
No, it is. Yeah.
Missile locked. Impact.
You know, I'd like to use some of these many missiles I have. It's much more maneuverable than a lot of the just interesting to experience.
It must be very. It's a can't do you.
Okay. Well, we'll turn it out in the mixer.
Yes. That did.
Oh, it did? It did?
No. We will talk very loudly then!
Well, you know what? I can.
Yeah, because that's.
Maybe.
Let's see.
Let us know how that is.
Alright, give us an update.
This is one of those situations where they don't seem to be focusing on me.
No, they're definitely like, they're probably like, you, no one cares.
We got Dodson here. I wonder if I can get an external mixer, if that'll help us do this.
2 turntables and a microphone.
Yeah, we'll start our wedding DJing career.
That's right. With our and yes, the most requested song of the evening, the Privateer 2 ship song. Everybody, get your partners out on the dance floor. This is a line dancer.
So did that one help the audio? Is anybody?
Now there's no game audio. Don't know what. Jesus.
Okay, well I must have gone.
Well, if
too
you guys
low.
are faster on the fly for us here,
try that.
let's try. Yes. How's this? Well, we have about 15 seconds of delay between them and us. So
Impact.
let's see.
In fact, the nimbleness of this fellow
Too much?
makes it. Is it too much audio?
No, I meant too much. Okay, now
Yeah,
audio's good, but it's too much. Like it's too touchy.
Yeah, it's actually very tough to
Yeah.
lead to stay from a target.
Yep. Yeah, that's always that can be sometimes a giant pain in the ass. You're constantly over, and then if anything, that actually like tires you out because you're constantly trying to overcompensate and remain in the proper lead, and it requires a ton more work. It's so touchy.
Impact.
Can I do a sit and spin type thing here? Is that...
I don't know about that.
Possible.
Who are they going after that's more important than you?
Yeah, that's what I say about everything.
Yeah. Well, like.
Forward.
No, that's
Oh! Well,
I think we all saw that coming.
yeah, we kind of did.
So it's a crummy little ship, but it's
Crummy
but it's
little-
ours.
No, it's ours for like the 14 minutes we own it for, right?
All right, well, let's go to our ship grid. Oh, shall we press a button, or should we perhaps sing a song? So since this is the start of a new one, we have only 2 verses this time.
That's right.
Ready for this? Oh, Privateer 2's got a lot of spaceships. Privateer 2's got a lot of spaceships. Privateer 2's got a lot of spaceships. Early in the morning. Nimble Duresses fly for everybody. Nimble Duresses fly for everybody. Nimble Duresses fly for everybody. Early in the morning.
It's so nice when those are short and it's not like, oh my god!
See you in 6 weeks, and there it is. Hooray!
Oh God, yeah. The final song is like we might have to devote an entire program just to that. But how long it's gonna take us a good 40 minutes.
We'll
to
do
get
a
through
6-hour stream. It's that, and then the map thing I said earlier.
That's right. That will be our highest viewed stream of all.
But
time.
look, feel the weight of it. Look how we're chunking down.
It seems like so long ago we were at all those ships that we were like, "Who the hell are you?"
And speaking of ships that we know who the hell it is, next week we're going to be looking at one of Privateer 2's signature ships, by which I mean the ship that's on the front of the box, the Heretic.
Fine.
So, finally!
We'll look at ships that you actually probably have purchased in game, unless you're a crazy completist.
I'm a crazy completist.
I'm well aware of that. That's why I didn't even look your direction.
Well, next up, we're going to head back to the Gemini sector to play a little more Privateer 1.
Speaking of Privateer.
Aha! Alright, you guys are going to have to let us know about the audio levels. We'll figure this thing out together. I'll keep them as they were in Privateer 2, and we'll load up Privateer 1.
Yeah, because it was... What was that level around? 35, 40? I think you had there?
I have numbers.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to read over your shoulder to see. But yeah, we should screenshot that or something to figure that out. All right, back in the saddle of... Oh, shit.
No,
all right, good. I'll say.
I saved it as the name of the episode.
Good. So this week we're gonna try to. We're not grinding so much as we are because we have book
Continue
club.
the plot a little bit.
So we're gonna
Taylor, go meet Lynch, and
Yep.
okay. But where are we right now? We have. I believe we left this by dropping off.
Yes.
We've dropped off the cargo at the pirate base, and now we need.
No,
to...
you are in Troy, I believe.
Yes.
Yes, because you need to go back to Pentonville.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So, well, nope. I would say...
Oh, we should have taken a mission, I know.
No, I was saying if you want, stop not there, but stop at the agricultural planet and load up with food. Because the pirate base will buy a ton of that.
Okay, that's smart.
You know, make a few extra bucks.
Yeah.
Because they definitely take...
Lord knows I love food.
Food and booze, I believe, are their top one.
Those are like in my top 5.
Well, apparently, pirates also love wood, fur, pets, and, well, of course, liquor.
Liquor pets, I just met her.
Hey!
Now entering an automatic landing.
What's really funny is that the most profitable wood run is to any of the big bases. Newcon, St. Paul, New Detroit, and Perry all want wood.
Oh, but here's a question. Why isn't my, Give me 1 second. Why isn't my,
What's wrong?
My credit counter's not on it.
Oh! It's over there.
It is over there. I think it's not displaying an OBS for some reason. So
Is it not on?
It's on, and you probably just need to kick it a little bit. No, for some reason, it is thinking it is the game and not that. There we go.
Oh, wow, yeah, I did something funky there for a second when I was trying to figure that out. There we go.
Crumbs.
OBS
Excellent.
has been dumb today for Benjamin. Very much so.
Yeah, OBS decided that we couldn't have 2 cameras at once, and it's just been problematic.
Yeah,
all
before
day.
the show, my camera was just
Yeah,
like
you're getting a big delay,
Like
yeah.
I waved my hand, and then I looked over, and I'm like, wait a minute, why is my hand only waving now? I did that several seconds ago.
We are not professional streamers, folks.
No, we are not. No.
Alright, so what sounds good? Luxury or generic?
I think that either one.
Well,
I would just go with it. You're gonna get a return on either one. So
I bought some of both.
well, there you go. You got to get for those fancy pirates,
Should I
and
take a mission on my way out?
if there's anything good, like a one-stopper,
Yeah, it's a execution of a pirate. That's easy.
as you go to a pirate base.
Achilles wants me to defend. No. 5 nav points. Not feeling 5 nav points. Not feeling the patrol. You have 1 in the patrol system. Pirate assaults. Alright, I can do 2 one-stoppers.
Sure.
But look, I'm going to save my game.
I almost was gonna say, but then nope, you were on top of it.
Yeah.
You were on top of it. Let's see. Oh yeah, now you're gonna get a good return. What do you remember? What you bought the foods for?
I think 55.
You're finished,
One of them
flyboy.
anyway.
No, you couldn't have. That's too expensive. Okay. We should definitely get a.
You're a
good-
loose
good
end looking
return.
to be tied, pal.
Yeah, you're ripping me apart.
Hey, listen, lady. I'm in my. Ooh, Jesus, your front shield's
Dump your
just
cargo
folded.
before you blow,
That did not
will ya?
make any sense. Because he did not put that many rounds into you, I thought.
I didn't notice that they did, but
No, I don't think he did. I mean, there must have been a missile, too, that came in there first that didn't notice. We did not notice. But yes, as we make our way through the lower half of the Gemini Quadrant, that which is closer to the rest of the Confederation.
This crate's about to explode.
Yeah, you're ripping me apart.
Another day.
We got a bounty hunter out there,
the
too.
hunters out there helping.
Welcome to the happy hunting grounds.
Maybe not smart to kill a bunch of pirates before I go back to a pirate base.
It's
but
fine. Remember, we learned they'll be as long as you're working for Talia.
You're
they will
finished,
be
flyboy.
happy for you.
But are we technically working for Taylor?
That's a good question. I mean,
We may not be until we get back.
until we get back and get the mission. Well, you know, these are details. These are details. These are details. Actually, as we say, Talia reminds
Dump
me
your
of
cargo before you blow,
something
will
else.
ya?
So I finally reached season 7 of my Next Generation
Yeah,
watch.
you're nailed.
Where I've
pal.
noticed in season 6 and 7, Babylon 5's resident telepath, Alexander, has shown up multiple times. Including one point where the second she was on the screen as a Romulan, I go, that's Lita. Oh, you're getting your...
You're nailed.
What the
What
hell?
happened, man?
Dude, that first pirate killed you in a way I'm not 100% sure how.
Yes. Bad luck, man. Alright, let's try this again. I miss my double missile launcher, honestly.
Yeah,
Shouldn't have gotten rid of the Tarsus.
It's a crutch. It's a crutch.
Made a lifestyle problem.
Some people are born in life with 2 missile launchers, some only get 1, man.
So while we are privateering, let's take questions from the audience. If there's anybody out there.
Privateer.
Yeah, let's just sing the privateer song a bunch more.
Oh, Privateer 1 has just very few spaceships. Very few spaceships. Very few spaceships. The Orion only has 1 missile launcher. I'm coming to someone fly. Nope. There are 16 of you out there. What do you have for us? Questions, comments, concerns. We don't take complaints. Those all get sent to Michael. So if you'd like to, complain to him.
Does anyone complain about...
I would hope not. I mean, if anybody complains, I think it's us. Usually we complain, which I think is perfectly acceptable. Yes, Privateer 1 does have very unique spaceship. Each one you remember almost instantly. Something.
Each one you remember because it's a Talon.
That's right.
Damn, you're ripping me apart.
They do, yeah. It has great player ships, but not. Yeah, the amount of enemies gets a little. It does get frustrating to see some talent after a while. But almost at a point, you kind of don't even worry about it though, because you're just thinking about whatever NPC is yelling at you, as opposed to the ship they're flying. You know. You haven't turned your shields down or anything, silly, right? Alright. Oh, you just have a crappy generator, so that's what it is.
It's a level 3, so...
Yeah, that... Really? I don't feel like that was
I thought
fair.
it was a 3. Maybe it's a
Well,
2.
Oh, no, I was talking about that guy. He only put 2 or 3 rounds into you, but I watched it. It ate your shields in a heartbeat there. Yeah, I don't know.
Whoa, the game got really loud for me suddenly. Ghost in the machine control. Yeah, why do my shields seem like they're defaulting to so low?
Yeah, it seemed like you were getting hit by 2 or 3 salvos, and it was taking you down to like 10%. It seemed a little bit extra odd.
Well, if I survive this encounter, I'll figure out what's going on.
Yes! We have done Armada fighting online in the past. We plan on doing it again. We are going to go through all 11 campaign sectors so I can blow up his homeworld and then laugh in his face.
Yes, we have an idea where we're going to play a sector each week for 11 weeks.
Yes.
Similar to how we've been doing the Private 2 ships.
But we will have more interaction. We will allow the crowd to, well, is gamble the right term? But you will be able to we'll make some silly thing of how you can bet on which one of us is going to win the sector, and then the winner will get, you know, the great adulations of the All Wings Considered crowd and some stuff we have to give to you.
We do have some cool prizes
We do have
to be
some
given out.
Yes. We can't wait to give away our very first tote bag signed by the entire crew, which will be worth tenths of a cent one day. Oh, listen to that sweet, sweet sound. You know what that is? Begging for your life.
You know what? But I'm pressing the wrong buttons.
Oh, so maybe you just told them to go F themselves.
I didn't see you, and you're blind. Got it? Not looking for trouble, Ace.
Well, you found it, buddy.
Yeah, Proving Grounds we've discovered is a wee bit unstable.
After a certain number of players, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I
online. It's an internet thing rather than a as originally intended. It would have been fine.
Yeah, I think the max has got to be probably 3 though, maybe. I mean, we need. It's one of the things we have on our list to test a bit more in the future, to see if we can get it to work. Because we had messed around with it some to get 2 players to work fairly well, but then the problem is because of how it uses asteroids in the game, and when you turn them on in Proving Grounds, it can become problematic because they're not just single sprites; they're actually objects that are being tracked. Just cruising along in my Orion through the asteroids. One-on-one is fun, but sometimes the arena it puts you in is a bit too large. So I mean, one time Loaf and I did a fairly long game, and we were also trying to test a few things like how many guns can you get? You can get an insane amount of guns. You can just keep stacking them until the VDU literally breaks trying to display all of them. Thing is, though, you spend most of your time then blasting, afterburning from one end to the other. This fly has been driving me insane. That's been in for the whole show. I've smacked it like 4 times, and
Repent and accept our righteous
it's gonna end up like I'm gonna hit one of the lights or something. The whole world ends.
Die by the very weapons you adore.
But yeah, Proving Grounds. If you have 3 machines and or several machines in close proximity, you can probably get away with it. It's just the internet itself. Oh, this is always what I love. And you can jump away and you'd see the bastard shooting at you. And then you'd hear that dong, dong, and you're like, oh my god, please don't explode before I can jump out. Because it's clear you're not actually invulnerable during that video. You still take damage.
I see you, and you're blind. Got it?
I mean, I've definitely almost been killed. Because I don't think it turns you invulnerable until
finished,
right before you actually jump. Like, actually in the video itself.
You're clear for clicks.
Yeah. But playing Armada, regular Armada through the strategy
looking for
game,
trouble,
the
eh?
battles, works great online. We've never had any problems with that stuff.
So we want to go to 119 CE.
How's your damage?
Prepare
look?
to be
You get
searched.
some wires
Maintain
going on
speed
everywhere.
and
Okay.
course. No contraband
So it
detected.
might be
You
beneficial
may
maybe
proceed.
to stop along the way.
Just
Maneuvering
like
jet. Oof. Maneuvering jet damage is the scariest damage of all. Well, especially, you have a repair droid, so it's alright, but some of my best and worst and aggravating memories of Privateer involve maneuvering jets being destroyed and being able to turn only one direction and then
Now, do I want to sit here and let my shields recharge before I jump?
Were you jumping to 119C? Nah, I think you're alright. I mean, there's an asteroid field, at the middle nav in that one? Because that's the 3 nav system.
I'm just worried I'm going to jump into the middle of a bunch of pirates.
Gotcha.
Maintain speed and
Nope.
course for
No,
contraband.
Usually on this one, too. Oh, this is the 401, okay.
No contraband detected. You may proceed.
There's that, whatever the hell that system is that has the 3 nav right just south of.
I passed through that already.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one, there was times where I'll just afterburner just enough out of the way so that when I autopilot, it takes me around the asteroid field just to save that silly amount of time.
Now we find out if the pirates in Pentonville are actually our friends.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Swoosh.
Baby, I got your eye.
Okay,
Don't you worry. See, but this is, you're not actually at the base.
Not looking for
Because
trouble.
I think the book makes it sound like it's just not that the pirates at Pentonville.
It was the whole system last time, but I
Not
think
looking for trouble.
that we are not officially in a mission for Taylor,
So they don't care.
So they don't care.
I got you. Let me double check on that one.
Like,
Yeah, as long as you
here
work.
there are some hostiles.
Yeah, as long
At
as
the
you
base.
work. Yeah, so you must be on the mission. Ooh.
Not looking for trouble, eh?
Yeah, your next 2 missions are
Dump your cargo before you
Rather
blow,
bold.
will ya? Not looking for trouble, Ace.
You're almost at your trap too. You'll get your little trap next mission.
Well, that's good. Where am I headed? New Constantinople next?
Yeah, you got 2 you got 2 drug
Now
runs to New
entering an automatic
Constantinople to
landing
finish
zone.
out Talia.
Cool.
Yep. And the second one is when you get your the secret compartment with the 20 units. And here we are.
Alright, let's tell you.
You took your sweet time, Captain.
And here's
Better late
Grayson
than never.
making a move
Now
on
I want
someone
my
who
money
kind of
and
looks a little
info
too
on the
closely related
artifact.
to him.
I won't say anything that will
Could
tip
be
my
his
hand
sister.
prematurely, but I can tell you that Sandoval got it by killing its previous owner. Before that, a spice merchant named Dieter obtained it from his own father.
Spice
Death
merchant named
follows
Dieter,
his
that's
thing.
interesting.
Feel lucky?
Just
Interesting
give me
lore.
my next mission and let
Dita.
me worry about my health.
I'll pay you 20,000 credits to make another delivery
I
of
believe
brilliance.
it's, I think
I'm
actually
putting you on
Dieter
my
might
main
be one
supply
of the
route to New
playtesters,
Constantinople.
I believe.
A promotion,
That's
huh?
his name,
And what'll I
actually, when
be up
spoke through
against?
this.
Some can fed patrols, but I've
double-check
paid
that.
some major bribes to make sure you're left alone.
You Taryn.
Major bribes, huh? Great. I smell a major risk
Oh,
here.
Dietrich.
You're taking a bigger risk
Dietrich
keeping that artifact
is
with so
one of
many
them.
willing to kill for it.
I'm taking a risk trusting you in the first place.
I've always paid you on time, so quit whining. Are you gonna fly my mission or not?
Yes, I'll follow your mission.
I made an agreement with you, and I'll honor it.
Good. You'll transfer the cargo from here to New Constantinople. Once you arrive, leave your ship unattended for an hour.
Then get the hell out. I know the drill, Taylor.
A hotshot pilot with
You're in
brains.
phase 5,
Wonders
very
never
angry.
cease. Hurry back.
confess
I'll be
on
waiting
this one,
right
too.
here with your pay.
Well, I won't
Doesn't matter how you
fight
go.
them, yeah.
Nope, doesn't matter how you go. It has all the possibilities.
Yeah, they're going to cover every approach.
Yep. 3 hostile stilettos whose objective is to destroy you, and 2 broadswords whose objective is to prevent you from using a jump point. Can you fill up all totally with drugs?
Yep.
I mean, you might as well if you're running them. I mean, carrying 1 pound, carrying 50 ain't gonna matter.
Oh, should I buy drugs? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I thought. Yeah, you should.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure,
you're here.
okay.
I mean, why not? Oh, did you sell your food? You
sold
brought
my food, yeah.
Okay.
I guess I get some ultimate and some brilliance.
Well, let's see. 964 and 194.
Yeah,
Check.
tell me what I'm looking at.
Well, brilliance you can't actually sell in New Constantinople.
That's right, you can't.
Ultimate.
You can't either. Do one.
Nope, yeah, you're both, yep. So you can only take, what, tobacco maybe, if you have that there? No, can't even do that. New Constantinople does not allow any
some of those big bases don't let you do
Yeah, only New Detroit. I think it might just be New Detroit, it looks like, that allows you. Let's see. Yeah, because you can't bring drugs to Perry either. Or Oxford. So just New Detroit's the only shady planet in the system.
College students would want drugs.
That's right, yeah. Well, they don't like that heavy stuff, man. They're not into that just yet.
But your kids.
Your kids are loving it. Making our way through the asteroid.
I noticed that now that I have a Taylor mission, these pirates are my friends.
Well, that's good. That's very good. Making your way in Gemini takes everything you got. Had a new Constantinople with a load of drugs. Sure does help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
Someday, somebody can take all the times you tried to sing the Cheers song.
Yep.
Maintain speed and course.
Uh-oh.
What have you done?
They're just scanning me. So if I head to whatever XXN is good, right?
Yes, XXN is good, but there
contraband
doesn't
detected.
matter. There's
You may
still
proceed.
the broadswords.
Oh, they didn't detect contraband. I guess they're not the mission program ones. Maybe they only do it then.
If you're smart, you'll watch your back.
Maybe, yeah, because it said that they will. The specific one should show up. You're going through XXN.
Yeah, they're
They
gonna.
will show up at Nav 3. And for those curious, I am using Privateer's Playtester's Guide to find this information, which we've been relying on very heavily for this to aid our quest for Steltech Gold.
I didn't see you, and you're blind. Got it?
As well as the pirates and the cockpits fight each other.
Dump your cargo before you blow, will ya?
Not looking for trouble, Ace.
That's the sound of begging for your life.
Maintain speed and course for contraband search. Contraband detected. Target, offender, and fire at will.
Crabs.
Bong, bong, bong.
Not good, man.
Nope. We looking not so hot. That is though one of the greatest reliefs though when you manage to hit you hit J and you're jumping and you're like, screw you guys,
How's
but
it
you
going,
keep hearing
friend?
those pings and pangs and you just hope they don't get through. They can. And there's nothing worse though if they just take you to town and then you have to try to do the rest of your mission falling apart.
Although that was honestly relatively painless.
Now
As
enter
far
an
as
automatic
things
landing
go.
zone.
Yeah. Yeah, that was I don't want to call it easy, but yes, that was smoother sailing.
Right, so that should have given us, got 20,000 credits. We've not been to a ship dealer in a while, so let's repair our tanks and our launcher and our armor. Flop out another load of missiles. There we go. And since I'm a very smart man, I'm going to save the game. And let's get back to Italia. Taylor. Taylor. Got me on my knees, Taylor.
Okay. Well, won't you give me a pirate? Taylor. Not a whole lot to do with it there, I'm not gonna lie.
Here's the 19 CE.
I like how you're using science.
That's a good junction. I don't care.
Junction.
Or is that going to send me on a
Prepare to be
jumps.
searched.
weird leg?
Maintain speed and course.
Maybe I do want. Oh. No, same distance.
Yeah,
so.
same distance. It's just junction.
No contraband detected. You
Junction
may
less
proceed.
fewer pirates.
Were it so easy?
If anybody out there wants to talk about fleet action in the not too distant future, we're going to be switching
How's
over
it
to
going,
Fleet
friend?
Action Book Club and
Yep.
talking about an actual fleet action that
What
happens.
the hell are you doing?
I don't know.
Where the hell are you going?
How did I get back to New Constantinople is the question.
I don't know. What the heck? I honestly don't. I think you might have hit N by accident in the nav map, and I didn't notice either. But then I was like, wait a minute, why is there a space station in front of you instead of a jump point?
The name of the place? New Constantinople.
That was 4 billion tons of Duress steel.
And one paradigm.
All alone, not alone in the night.
It's got to be frustrating when you take a base defend mission to New Constantinople and you go like, there's a paradigm docked here, why isn't it taking off?
Because it's getting refit and it's maintenance, so it doesn't. All its guns are offline. Its reactor has been pulled and it's cold.
Torpedoes aren't going to be installed until Tuesday.
That's right. Everything's.
We've got
yeah,
this
that's right,
sector
till
bottled
Tuesday.
tight, friend.
There you go. Tractor beam, same thing.
That one pirate, Confed lady who militia lady we just heard, she's like this weird sadness to her voice that always hits me.
Oh, which comm though?
Just the way she talks, the militia female comm.
Prepare
She
to
just
be
has like a
searched.
very much like, I'm
Maintain
fed up with this,
speed
but it's
and
my
course.
job.
No contraband detected. You may proceed.
The militia uniforms look kind of like Lego men.
Okay, I mean, yeah, they kind of do look like Lego spacemen. I'll
If
give
you're
you
smart,
that.
You'll watch it.
Not even necessarily Lego spacemen, but they're...
I would say, well, the face is how it's in that little window, I guess. Yeah, that's true.
By the way, that's another thing I've been doing recently is... so we've got a monorail table downstairs. We've been building a moon base.
Wait, what's that name again?
Monorail! It's good.
Yeah, you like that?
I built all the Futuron sets, and then I took a poll, what should I add to my setup next, on Twitter, and people said Space Police, so now I'm busy collecting the original 6 Space Police sets. In fact, one showed up today, which is the big one, the Mission Commander, and I'm either going to be so amped up after this that I build it tonight, or I'm going to pass out in my chair as soon as we're done. In either way, it's going to be fun. You could make a really nice, Orion out of paper towel tubes.
I didn't see you.
I didn't know where you were
You're
going with
blind.
that,
Got
but
it?
yeah, you can. Maybe even paper towel might be a little too big. I think it's more. You need a lot of toilet paper.
Not looking for
rolls.
trouble, Ace.
Did you build paper towel tube spaceships when you were a kid?
In what sense?
My
Like in class?
no, when I was a kid, my friends and I would build whole star fleets out of paper plates and paper towels and cardboard. Because you could you take 2 paper plates and you put them opposite each other to build a saucer section of like the Enterprise.
Okay.
You make the secondary hull out of paper towel tube.
Now entering
And
an
then,
automatic landing zone.
Yeah. That you did?
No, we weren't really into Star Trek, so I guess that wouldn't have. Like,
You
not
were
like
one of
that.
those kids.
Yeah, no, we were into the real Navy.
The real stuff. Babylon 5.
That's right.
Hey,
You
Taylor.
look like hell.
I'm gonna go on a date.
Now I know what
Nope.
happens to charm school dropouts. Where's my money?
Keep your shorts dry, will you? Here, take it.
I can't
He really is
understand
like
why a woman
most
as attractive as
sister.
you has to
too
pay
close
for the
there,
company
too
of men in
close.
bars.
I see it as
Fine
an
line
investment
in
with a
these
penalty
things.
for
They are
early
crossing
withdrawal.
Well,
Interesting, we
since
actually
you're so
got
quick
paid
with
when we
answers,
landed in New
here's another
Constantinople, so
question.
she's not actually giving
If
us
you know
money
the
right now.
artifact's
Yeah,
value,
so and that
why
also
don't
something
you
too.
want
So
it
you
for
can also,
yourself?
you don't want to finish
You'll
this
have
part
to
of the
kill a lot
plot.
of
You can
people
kind
to
of
hang
go
on
off
to
for
it.
your
And
opinion
I'm
on
no
your own.
murderer. Anyway, I'll
And,
tell you all I know
do
about
that
that thing
instead.
after you finish this last job.
Let me guess. I'm running a shipment of catnip to Kill Ra.
Nope, I
Which
saved
is
a
one of the
really
great things about
lucrative job
Privateer
for
is that
myself.
it's no matter what,
Actually,
it's
you're
open
running
world
more
and
brilliance to New Constantinople. It pays 10,000 credits.
To hell with that. Those confeds were all over me.
Well, I've got an idea which will help prevent
I like how
that
she always
this
looks
time
shocked
out.
because of her
But I'm
eyes.
sick of holding your hand while you whine. You want the job or not?
Like, how dare you say that to me?
Okay, what's this great idea of yours?
I've gone over the schematics of your ship. I've located a space where we can install a secret compartment. It'll be completely undetectable and make smuggling much easier.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Just make the damn run. I promise you won't have any problems.
Famous last words.
Just handle your end and report back here for your pay.
You never have to worry about that, Taylor.
I have also this week been playing with some new ideas for the look of the show. Just because I don't know art, and we kind of started out this way, and with his cool stuff, we kind of put together haphazardly. And I kind of have this idea of making it look like the Commander 1 box with red and yellow accent lines, and
Where the hell do you
see
think
how
you're
that
going?
goes. Oh, what do we got here?
Pirates?
No, it was Croy's. Croy's talked to me. He said, "Where?"
Hold on, mister.
Oh,
I think it's high
that's
time
right,
we
you
were
get your competition.
introduced, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm the one who runs drugs around here. Plenty of drugs for everybody, buddy, okay?
I am the Mac Daddy of the Pentonville system.
That's right.
Come on, you steal a man's
He's got the
business,
same beard
you
as
ought
us,
to at
I
least
know.
know his name.
He's not angry.
My name is William Riordan.
Where is he? He's playing a Centurion. Riordan. Big deal. Never heard of you.
My route. Fly for Taylor, and then have the gall to insult me. There's not enough work for 2 privateers. I'll teach you to steal my business. You're a dead man.
Whoa.
Yeah, you're nailed.
Did you piss them
pal.
off?
No, it's part of the plot.
Oh, no, I thought that was Talon first.
It
Dump
was.
your
The
cargo
Talons are
before
attacking
you
me
blow,
too.
will ya?
And they disabled my maneuvering death, so
Oh.
this isn't going well.
You have chosen your drug runs poorly.
Well, let's try that again. I guess is there a practical reason why I have to stay here and engage him? Can I just...
I think he follows you, if I remember
I
correctly.
think so too, but...
Like, why? Yeah, get out of those asteroids.
Hold on, mister. I think it's high time we were introduced, don't you?
At least he's pimped out his Centurion. That's a Talon, you know, so that's always good. That is definitely always good.
You're a dead man.
You're finished, flyboy.
Is he gonna follow me through the jump point?
I don't remember that part. I remember him chasing. He might, but I don't
He did
think
chase me to the jump point. Well, that may be an anticlimactic.
Ah, there you go. Sometimes you just gotta be a coward and run in your paper towel tubes or your toilet paper tubes. Sometimes that's all that life takes, you know?
Catch you on the next run.
Not a whole lot of questions.
Catch
from
you on the
chat
next
this
run.
evening.
What are folks in chat doing this weekend? How are your lives
Clear
going?
the
Let's
click.
You've not turned your guns on.
I don't need them.
Yeah. I'm debating whether this weekend I should go down to Yorktown. I've never been to the site of our great final victory in the Revolution. Even though I noticed it's just under 4-hour drive, which seemed like a lovely thing to do on a Saturday morning.
Tomorrow is Friday.
I know, I meant Saturday.
Prepare
that's
to
what
be
I'm doing.
directed.
Yes.
Maintain speed and course.
Allie and I
No
are going
contraband
to
detected.
the
You may
beach.
proceed.
The OC?
The OC, yeah. Her mom's work lets her use a beach house for a couple days each year. So we're going out there, and it's gonna be fun.
Interesting that the company has a beach house, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What's that for?
I think it's just the guy who's it's like the
Prepare to be
owner's
searched.
beach house, and he lets his
Maintain
employees.
speed and course.
That's
No
nice.
contraband detected.
Better than
You
staying in
may
one of the
proceed.
dorm hotels out there with no names. They're just giant 15-story buildings, which is a weird thing out there.
And my mom, she knows all the like beach lore. She's been going over to Delaware Shore her whole life, and the last time we went, we drove up past all those buildings, and she was like talking about, oh, that's where these sex parties were, and all these like things that were normal in the 70s, and
just what you want your mom
Yeah.
telling you in a closed space that you can't get away from. Everybody loves a good old mom
Now
sex
entering an
party
automatic
story.
landing zone.
Well,
that's why I subscribe to the Reddit.
you know, r/whatever. Yeah. You don't even know. You get a drink. You could use a drink. Oh, we got no
Hey, I
drunks.
heard a good one the other day. Seems that there's this hollow
It's like
asteroid
Harlan
on
Ellison.
the-
Oh, it's the asteroid rumor.
Oh,
We gotta find this asteroid.
Oh,
The guy
shit.
who finds that done
Let's
can
do it.
help himself to as much ordnance as he can haul.
The lady's eating Fruit Loops or something.
People at this bar.
What's the lady in the back doing? That's like is that like
She's not on.
Oh, she got a hat.
She's
She's poured away. She's taking a
taking
long
long
sips. Oh wow!
Look at that cool guy over there, and business dude.
Drunk lady and those two dudes playing some game in the corner.
Gosh, I wonder if we can find a generic blinking beer sign like that for the basement here.
I would have met.
So now, what is our next objective? Do we need to go back to Pentonville, or do we go on to?
Well, I figured that. Well, we did both Talia's, so at this point we should switch over to book club. We're at 2.5 hours right now.
Well, let's pop over for. I mean, let's go to the. Let's go meet the next guy.
Oh yeah, you want to go see?
I wonder, do we go back to Pentonville to find out if we should go somewhere else, or do we?
I forget how.
Or do we head to New Detroit, or what?
No, I feel like if you go back, right, because Talia's not there. I should remember this.
Didn't use any of my ordnance that time.
That's good. Yeah, Roy O'Dean only goes in Penton. He never follows you after that, so that's good. So you can kill him if you want to. Oh yeah, no, you have to go back to Pentonville to
do I?
get the trigger. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What I was thinking.
Yes.
One more walk through Pirate Town, boys.
Yep. This goddamn fly.
But, yeah, if the book crew wants to start getting ready, we've got an audio channel on Discord. We can all join to chat about chapters 10 and 11 of Fleet Action. It's gonna be more fun than a hairless monkey.
No comment on that one.
No, like a karate color star.
Got it?
I understand. I definitely understand. Sorry, my stuff's all good. I'm good to go. So we're just making our way through Gemini.
Sure would help a lot.
Forget this meat happening. We got no problem.
Etc. Etc. Etc.
You're about to suck void,
That should be a musical note to itself right there. The begging for your life.
Looking sharp, eh?
Please don't kill me.
Forget this meat happened.
I don't want to die because I am a coward named Grayson.
If I had a Centurion, I would just wipe
I would
war with you and not bother.
I would really,
but I don't.
I would run you over without even noticing you. Yes.
Yeah, I noticed that Mike has a Centurion. He's doing better than us.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
First, then he had some trouble with debt.
Yeah. The Centurion really, I mean, that's
Maintain
the Orion.
speed course
It
for
really just needs
contraband
it needs both. I mean,
No contraband detected. You may
I get why they don't want to give it both missile launchers, but you got to give it like a third gun, man. You have to.
I wish it needed one more thing.
Yeah, it definitely does, because really it's like
Your
it's a
profile is clear
crappier
to
Tarsus
sector's
in that
edge.
way. It's just that you can survive longer because of your shields.
Yeah.
And your engines. You know. And you haven't managed to smuggle any plutonium. Useful for
Catch you on the next run.
nuclear reactors and weapons, and that's it.
Well, we're going to be talking about what plutonium used to
I
be
didn't
created
see
just a
you,
little bit.
and you're blind. Got it?
What
You're
could it be?
finished, flyboy.
Strontium 90.
It could be that. If someone wants to spoil the
You're
tease,
clear for
yes. Which, as we know, is the most deadliest substance known to man.
They say, spoil the tease. Spoil the tease, spare the child. Spoil the tease, spare the child.
Yeah. Yeah, there are other things that could, be used, but what are you gonna do? It was the early internet days, so he probably looked at, losalamos.gov.
Now entering an automatic landing zone.
Thank you, Jolly Man. I like how the pirate base even have a Jolly Man as their landing officer.
Well, let's say hi to Taylor.
Here's your final payment, 10,000 credits.
Thanks, Taylor. That secret compartment made it easy.
Glad to hear it. This is our final meeting, Captain.
Hold on a minute. You still owe me info on that artifact.
The person you need to talk to is Roman Lynch.
You mean the mob boss on New Constantinople?
He may be a thug, but he's also an expert on exotic and valuable items. I've set up a meeting with Lynch. He's expecting you in the bar on New Constantinople. I really don't know any more about that thing than I've already told you. But play your cards right with Lynch. You'll be a rich man.
Okay, so that was fun. Notice that I'm skipping 19 because next week we're gonna have a little bit of a different episode.
That's right. It's the beach episode.
The beach party episode.
So you guys are gonna be out there singing like what are those two people, Annette and from all those 50s and 60s movies?
Elvis?
No, the two people. It's like they look like brother and sister.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
The Annette. It's Annette
Funicello.
Yeah, and what's the dude's name?
I don't know.
Paul something? No, I have to look it up because I can't. I'm not gonna be okay.
Well, while you do that, let's all join the Fleet Action Book Club, and we'll get our background going. Hey, anybody out there? If you are, oh, there's nobody in the chat. Okay, well, join the chat, somebody.
Frankie Avalon.
Frankie Avalon. Okay.
That's who it was.
That's the level of pop culture that I typically appreciate only through recursive Flintstones references.
Okay.
Because you'll see like the parody version of that on the Flintstones, and then, hey Chris, let me know if you're online.
Parody.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
I'm here.
Okay, cool. Well, we are just gathering our forces here, and while we're doing that, I will summarize these chapters. Where did we leave off at the end of last week?
Just I think it's in Hellhole, and they're about to move out into battle, I think.
Right, yes. I'm just trying to bring up my notes, which have become lost in a sea of browser windows. Here we go. Alright, so, Fleet Action Chapter 10. If you remember last time, the bleep has hit the fan. The Kilrathi have revealed themselves to be behind this secret fleet. They have bombed the the droid chiefs. They've caused this disruption in everything. and we now know that the Kilrathi fleet is on the march towards Earth. That is where we start chapter 10.
Yes.
Just a moment. I've got to bring up my notes. Yeah.
Enhance.
Do in and enhance.
Enhance.
All right. Looks like everybody's coming online now. But as we promised last time, things are finally getting exciting. We have, well, not finally getting exciting, but
we've got action.
We've got some serious action in these chapters.
Yes. We get some great stats going on.
Yeah, there's a little bit to love for everything, and then there's a little bit not to love, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah.
But as chapter 10 starts, Tolwyn is now in charge of the Confederation's fleet. He's been put in charge of the Third Fleet, and it is his job to take the disparate parts of the fleet that have not been disabled, get them together, and fend off these Kilrathi supercarriers that are coming towards Earth. And we open up in a briefing room where he is surrounded by all these other commodores, admirals, and so on, the rear admirals, individual ship commanders, and he's briefing them on what's going to happen. And at the same time filling us in on what is happening on the political front. The Confederation has not declared war yet. There's still this factions in the civilian government that believe this is all a trick, that the Kilrathi are not invading, and Kilrathi propaganda is saying the same thing. They're saying, "Oh, we're not attacking you. The fleet this is a human plot to restart the war." So that's happening in the background. But there has been this emergency decree that is allowing Tolwyn to put together a force to stop the Kilrathi. So he's briefing the admirals. We meet a fellow named Mike Pulowski, who is a Commodore, and he talks specifically about his home world on the frontier in the Warsaw system.
Yep.
This is what in writing terms is known as Chekhov's Mike Pulowski, because this character we have never seen before
he gets locked and loaded a few times. Yep.
Then we cut back to the Empire, where we get this magnificent scene of the Kilrathi Fifth Fleet of the Claw coming into focus, and they're doing their review for the Emperor before they head off to the frontier, and we get to see these giant capital ships, and I'm sure everyone has imagined that in their head in grand detail. And Thrakath and the Emperor are talking, and the Emperor says, Strakath says, "Have we proven Jukaga's guilt yet?" And he's like, "No, we put these people to death to torture them, and they couldn't prove that he was behind the assassination." And the Emperor says, "Well, take him with you to Earth, make him negotiate with the humans, and find a way to do away with him." So then we go to Jukaga, and they sell him the same thing. You're coming to Earth with us, and Jukaga, he's kind of resigned. It's like, I know, I'm waiting for the knife in my back. And that's all of Chapter 10. The Chapter 10 is real quick.
Yes.
Chapter 11, though, this is a battle chapter. We cut back to the Landreich, where Captain Bark, he's now Commodore Bondarevsky, Captain Bondarevsky, I suppose, is angry as hell, and he is trying to get in to see Kruger. He has heard that Kruger has put out the message that the Tarwal was destroyed during its return from Kilrathi space. If you recall, last time we left off with this cliffhanger where they're like, "How is Kruger going to get us out of this one?" And it's not followed up at all. We are now back at the hellhole.
What do you mean? They just show up where they are.
Yeah, they're back at the hellhole now, and Bondarevsky is really pissed because Kruger has put out this message that his ship was destroyed, and he's with Richards, who is just bemused about the whole thing.
I think you said the point, right? The previous chapter ends, how's Kruger getting out of us? But then this chapter talks about how Kruger does nothing.
Yeah,
right?
Nothing.
They make a big deal about how, well, Kruger couldn't have done shit to help us anyway, so it's fine. You got us out, Bear, because Bear is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that happens. Bear is reasonably angry, and he's like, "I'm going to get you." And Kruger's like, "I'm the president of yours." And Richards,
have a beer.
Richards is just like laughing at the whole thing because...
Yeah, Richards, I think he's just reached his end.
So they get the summary of what's going on from that point of view, and Bear wants to take the Tarwa back to Earth to be part of this last desperate battle. Kruger says no. The Karathi have split off a part of their force to come take out the Landrak to prevent exactly that, to prevent their new fleet from being flanked. And you're going to stay here, and we're going to try to fend them off. And they go, well, that's insane. We're heading. It's 3 Karathi carrier groups against our 4 escort carriers. That's not a battle we can win.
That's true.
We then cut back to Admiral Tolwyn on the bridge of the Concordia, where we best know him. That's where we can picture him at this point if we're reading this book in 1994. And it begins with this spectacular announcement. It's official, gentlemen. A state of war now exists between the Karathi Empire and the Confederation. 4 old-style carriers crossed the frontier 4 hours ago, and the Senate has passed the declaration. And we hear that the Karathi have overtaken the Hanovian system, and they are on their way straight across the frontier. And we see Tolwyn doing some genuine strategery. This is Tolwyn at his grandest, where he is trying to figure out how the enemy is thinking and how he can move his much more limited force, and it's really neat to see.
Yeah, this is his finest hour.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, this campaign. So.
And so he makes he says, "Oh, the battle will be joined as serious. That is where we're headed." And he figures out where the Karathi are coming through, and he ultimately decides, move the fleet to Warsaw, which, hey, that's where Mike Pulaski's family is.
Which is also weird, because Warsaw was 2 jumps from the frontier, and Sirius is made clear to be quite a few jumps behind that. So they've moved quite far forward.
So
yeah,
we then jump back to the Landrak, where we get, when are you getting to the firecracker factory? When are you getting to the fireworks factory? When are you getting to the fireworks factory? We're at the fireworks factory. This is a payoff sequence where it's just so cool.
Yes.
Because it is the battle between these desperate Landrak forces, which we'd had introduced earlier.
Yep.
We had seen all their, spit and glue ships, the Ferret with the Corvette engine and the scimitars and all this.
We get more of that.
Yeah. And we have this incredible 6-minute fleet action. It's pages and pages of text, and this is Bill Forstchen at his finest. You feel like you are there in this incredible battle that feels totally distinct from any other battle, because the Kruger's plan is basically they go and they fight the Karathi at the frontier, and then they run away. They run through the hellhole system, and then they jump out. And Kruger's plan is he's thinking, the Karathi are going to recover their fighters and to jump through after us, thinking they're chasing a defeated foe. And instead, we're turning around immediately. We're bypassing all laws of jump safety, jumping back right in the middle of their fleet, fighting a broadside with carriers. And this battle is insane. It is, human fighters ramming the Karathi, frigates detonating themselves, and it's just so pitched and exciting. Kruger the president of Landrak is leading from his own destroyer.
Yep.
And we were on the bridge of the Tarva seeing all this action. They destroy one of the Karathi carriers, and then they cripple a second one. Mm-hmm. One of the escort carriers is lost, but it seems like they can take out this carrier, and Jason, of course, again disagrees with Kruger. Kruger says, "Okay, everybody retreat again." And Jason says, "No, we could get it." And Kruger says, "Well, no, we can get it, but it's going to cost us our other 3 escort carriers. What we want is them to have this crippled carrier they have to protect."
Yep.
And that's absolutely right.
It's a great piece of strategy. Yeah. It's because they're going to be more protective over that than if it's dead. Well, then they're going to come right at you.
And there's so much great stuff here. Doomsday and Doomsday Paladin fly a saber together in front of the torpedo run. Can't you imagine that?
I don't know, Ben. Do you think we're going to get through?
This is such a reward to people who have been to this book.
Yeah.
This is the first of the titular fleet actions, and it is
good. And he hits on every string too, because at one point he also mentions how they're thinking about Hunter still, like that. He still pulls you back. Is it a bear that thinks of Hunter or
no? Doomsday? It's Paladin and Doomsday, because they have one of his cigars. And
that's right, because Doomsday thinks it's a good talisman to have with him. That's right. Yep. So he pulls on your strings in a lot. This, especially if you had read Freedom Flight, you really get into it.
That done, we jump back to the Warsaw system, where we learn that Tolwyn has raced to Warsaw to face off against the Karathi, and indeed the Karathi fleet has moved in, just as Tolwyn predicted. First the old-style carriers then their battleships and everything, and then their new carriers. And the two fleets are at opposing sides of the system. Talwyn gets a translate message from Baron Jukaga, who wants to do this. It first seems to be doing this supervillain thing, where he's like, "Oh, my dear Admiral, I simply want you to surrender your fleet." And we're supposed to be like, "Oh, yeah,
go F yourself."
Yeah, Talwyn says, "Go F yourself."
Yeah, he says in a crude thing, whatever he says. Yeah. Oh, I think he means shut up your ass. I think that's what the crude anatomical thing you can't do.
I thought it was go F yourself.
I guess either one really works.
Either
ones are anatomically impossible, so...
We can debate that one later. I have a bullet point in my notes about it.
That's for later on.
So then Jukaga... The transmission disconnects, and Jukaga comes back and is like, "Okay, we're on a secure line now. I'm telling you this not..."
He's on Snapchat.
Yeah.
It's only the last 5 seconds.
I'm telling you this not as the mouthpiece of Prince Dracath, but as someone who is concerned about humans and who understands that we need to face our next enemy together. Surrender, become our slaves, and I will promise your warriors will be treated well, Earth will be preserved, etc., etc., etc. Because if you do not, the Emperor has decreed that this will be a war of total extermination. Instead of attacking, defeating your military and conquering your planets, we will destroy the biospheres, we will kill everyone. And Talwyn says, "There's nothing I can do about that. Obviously, we're going to fight back." And Jukaga says, "Yes, I knew you would say that, but I had to deliver this message. Anyway, you have 24 hours, or we're going to see Warsaw."
24 minutes.
24 minutes,
yeah. He doesn't, which is really weird. Is that a bit? Oh, it's base 8, right? Because it's 3-8?
Yeah.
Is that what that is? 24?
3-8, yeah.
Okay.
And Talwyn says, "Just go ahead and do it." And he's like, "Okay, we're going to go ahead and do it." And they go ahead and do it. The planet Warsaw is destroyed with strontium airburst nuclear weapons.
Yep.
Talwyn calls Mike Pawlowski, our old friend Mike Pawlowski.
"Hey, Mike."
And by the way, it's not contemporary, but I'm imagining a Mike Pawlowski from Monsters Inc., the one-eyed monster guy.
Okay. Sure.
But he's like...
Because I also was picturing Mike Wazowski.
Wow, I did not think of that at all.
Yes. And he calls him up and says, "Hey, sorry about your homeworld. They're going to destroy it." He's like, "Yeah, I figured." We then jump back to the Landreich, and hey, Jason Bodrowski is pissed and coming to Kruger's office again. He once again wants to take his carrier away, and we find out that this battle was something of a success. The plan worked as Kruger intended, but the Kilrathi still pasted Hellhole, the planet Hellhole. It's been destroyed with strontium warheads, so it's uninhabitable. Which, by the way, Hellhole is not the capital of the Landreich. People get confused about this. Yep. Hellhole is a military outpost of the Landreich. The actual Landreich home system is the Landreich.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, false colors gets a little bit mixed.
No, I didn't check those. Does he forget that he destroyed Hellhole?
I think he does, yes.
Because I'm pretty sure Hellhole is where a lot of... I can't remember in False Coast, but I think they do something there. Mm-hmm. I don't remember if they go to the planet or not, but I know they're definitely in the Hellhole system a bunch.
Yeah, they still reference it. We'll get that in a couple years.
Yeah. Because that was one of the notes I had where it's like, wait, did he forget that he destroyed it? Yes.
So, and we end with them basically being in conflict. Jason saying, why can't I do this? Let me go help Earth. And you're just bitter because the Confederation betrayed you. You need to save the day anyway. And that's where we end these chapters. The Kilrathi are headed to Earth. Talwyn has declared that Sirius is where the action will be decided. And we're all eager to find out what that action is. But that's where we end our 2 chapters. And with that, I'm going to go over to our panel. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Hello. I swear I'm here somewhere.
Leah just speaks in a series of clicks and beeps. He's like one of those aliens.
He's like U425724?
No.
Only available in the home system?
He was clicking his mic twice. I think.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
He's in a snipe position. He can't give he has to do 2 clicks of firm. I gotcha.
Sorry, my spotter told me to
That's right. There you go.
Your spotter's a coward. So let's go around the room. First impressions. Chris Reed.
It is very exciting. It's almost, there's so much action. It's almost hard to keep up with all the popping around from Tolan to there and back and forth. But fantastic.
It's very Tom Clancy.
How quick? Yeah. I was surprised at how quick Chapter 10 was. You're just like, it's like he wanted to hurry up and get to the action too.
Yep.
I almost wonder if there was a section there that was going to be about Bear returning the Tarawa that was cut, because it is unnaturally short just in terms of word length. It almost seems like maybe there was a Tarawa bit that got removed at some point.
Yeah, because it's not that many pages. By comparison, Chapter 11 is like 30, almost 40 pages, I think.
Yeah, it's a Chapter 11's a big one.
Yeah.
Leha, what was your first takeaway?
13 pages for Chapter 10.
It's definitely amping up. We're seeing all the bits and pieces that we've seen from the rest of the book start to come together. And the thing that really struck me is, I never noticed it whenever I've read this book before, is that at the beginning of one of the chapters, Tolan calls in to talk to two other ship captains. And the ships are named Moskva and Verdun, which kind of sets the tone for what's to come.
By the way, I love that scene with the Admiral Zetek and the other one. It's very, very nice texture with the one who's injured and
And he speaks like a robot.
Yeah, because he's the burns.
You can totally picture.
Yep.
Trilline.
Hey. So these chapters were great. My favorite part was just that Landrike battle. I love just the chaos of it. It's so we got tastes of that earlier, but it's so different from what you're used to with the Confederation. They kind of follow this organized official way of doing stuff, and the Landrike does whatever to get the job done, and it's just so fun. It's so chaotic. And you almost feel kind of tired by the time it's over.
Yes.
It's you just want to sit down and take a break. And then it kind of goes back to Warsaw, where it's this different kind of action. It's more like this grand strategic action, and you see it from the eyes of the fleet commander rather than the carrier captain. It's just a great bunch of stuff here. It's really good.
Yeah, I absolutely loved seeing Tolwyn in command. Tolwyn as Hornblower, as Nelson. That and then the battle. And my big thing I took away from this is that this book is structured so much more smartly than it felt like. There's such an intentionality to the fact that way back in Chapter 1, we open with a cool space battle. It's sort of a subdued space battle, but it's really fascinating. We're seeing how ships attack a carrier, and we see some of our familiar faces, and we were told there's a level of danger, but it's not a major thing. And since then, we've kind of been avoiding these giant space battles. It's almost always a tease. We'll hear about an action, or we'll see something from a character's perspective that's further away, but we don't have that balls to the wall space battle until right now. And because of that, this is such a reward. And I think of a Doom novel. Anybody ever read those Doom novels? And they're so super literal. Every chapter is ripping and tearing demons. And you would think that every chapter of a Wing Commander novel would be flying space fighters against space cats. And the fact that Fortune knew not to do that, to build this all up, get to this crescendo, it's good. No.
Yeah, that's one of those things I really liked about this, because it also, these chapters not only give you that reward, but then they give you all those little bits of lore that you absolutely love, where it's the 5th Fleet of the Claw, the 1st Fleet of the Claw. You learn more about the number of carriers they have. And what jumped out at me was that when they're first describing the Hakagas and the number of fighters they carry, and I was as I was reading this yesterday, I'm like, this is the reverse of Philippine Sea, right? Where the Kilrathi have 1,500 fighters, the Confederation 689. So it's they're hugely outnumbered. They're trying to get as much as rush as they can to the front. And one of the quotes I put down when we were talking about Kruger is, I love Kruger's strategy, right? Tolwyn has this big scene in the conference room telling everybody, Kruger is meet them and beat them.
Yeah.
Doesn't have any other bullshit. Just meet them and beat them, and let's go out there. And then we get that great reward of really, it's another, like, I think a tribute to the Second World War. It's the Battle off Samar. It's escort carriers versus, instead of a battleship, it's versus 3 giant carriers. And they're going gun to gun like crazy people, like trading shots, which is just absolutely crazy. And then, did you look up try to identify any of the kind of names, if they're just students or whatever? Because some of them...
Who is Mike Pawlowski? That must be someone.
Yeah, that one I didn't look up.
Well, I have some thoughts about Mike Pawlowski. I did try to look up the various admirals. None of them popped up on Bill Forston's Facebook friends list.
There you go.
But the one in there, Lyford Beveridge.
Yep, that's such a weird name.
That is something that is a name that Bill Forston uses in all of his novels, including End Run, where he was the experienced deck master on the Tarawa.
Oh, that's right.
And now he's a...
Yeah, I seem familiar.
Yeah. In fact, I think when I interviewed Bill as a teenager, that was one of the questions I asked him, was like, who is Lyford Beveridge and why do you keep mentioning him? Mm-hmm. And it was just an old friend of his. And in fact, if you search Facebook, you can find the actual Lyford Beveridge. If you are a crazy stalker, please don't do that. These people are not our entertainment toys. But he is a person who exists.
And what's weird, I think, so Ching on the Moskva, when I first read that, I thought there was an American admiral whose nickname was Ching, who is actually now I just forgot I just totally blanked on his real name. His last name it's Ching Li, but he's not actually Asian. But he was a gold medalist at like the 1938 or 36 Olympics in pistol. And I think Borshin is a Norwegian or Swedish admiral, but I'm not positive.
So Mike Pawlowski, another subject I want to bring up. And obviously, it seems like it's a weird surprise that this man is suddenly important and we care about him. Mm-hmm. I noticed going back to Chapter 4, when we have Trolwyn's party soiree, and he brings all his co-conspirators in and tells them they're going to go to Landreich. It specifies. This is what Sparks says. It's like old home week here, she whispered. Pilots, couple of maintenance officers like myself, ship's computer officers. There's even a commodore of a destroyer group over there in the corner. And that commodore of the destroyer group's name is Weiss, W-E-I-S-S, and he has this little back and forth battalion about the Marshall Plan, which we talked about weeks ago. I suspect that the intent there was that was supposed to be Pawlowski, and he changed the name but didn't change it in the earlier chapter at some point.
So he goes from a German to a Pole. Interesting.
Well, so this is the equivalent of Dwigged from that Office episode.
Yes, it really does feel like that. But the thing that bugs me a little bit about Mike Pawlowski, and I may be totally wrong here, but it's just this slight wrong feeling I get, is that we have this character with this Polish Jewish name very clearly. He's from the planet Warsaw.
Yeah.
And it just seems it sticks out, and
it's on the nose.
It's on the nose. That's certainly on the nose, and it something rubs me out. It's slightly wrong. Adding to that, the fact that Kruger's capital ship is named Blitzkrieg. There's something, I don't want to say it's icky, but it raises some hairs on the back of my neck.
It's definitely, because I think what you put in the notes is kind of correct. This is the Red Army. The Red Army is at the gates of Warsaw. The Poles are rising up against the Germans, and the Red Army does nothing. Mm-hmm. Instead, they sit there and watch the Germans destroy the city of Warsaw, put down the Warsaw Uprising, and then proceed to start killing all of those people.
And I get that hair-raising sense, hair in the back of my neck thing, just if I take only this chapter, because I know that eventually Mike Pawlowski, and I keep imagining the monster's a creature, I know that he's going to, it's setting him up for revenge.
Yeah, because
he's going to win the day.
Yeah, because he gets like, I don't want to call it a weird call out, because at one point after the Battle of Warsaw and they're getting ready to withdraw, Tolwyn originally is going to put him in the rear guard, but then instead switches him with another guy because he doesn't want, because clearly you don't want the guy who this is his home system then covering your rear, because Klor's going to turn around and he's going to he's going to exert his destroyer group against the Kilrathi as they try to come at him because he wants revenge because he can see his home world burned out in front of him.
But the other thing that strikes me as odd is, so we have this very Semitic character name and location and so on set up in this very much his planet has been fridged and he's going to save the day, and then we go to action stations.
His planet has been fridged.
I
know, I don't care. That's just a great line. I think we should remember. We're like, what happened? Oh, we fridged his planet.
Going back to action stations, we have exactly the same thing with the Masada. With the Masada. Again, the Jewish named capital ship that sacrifices itself and says the Lord's Prayer in Hebrew as it does it.
That's right.
To save the day in that's similar battle. It sticks out.
Oh my! You know what's even more messed up? This is weird because this lines up with my work, the stuff I'm reading. It's Admiral Dayan. Dayan was the defense minister during the Yom Kippur War. So, and he's like if you ever want to see if a Hollywood casting director was going to create Dayan, they would. He looks like a movie star. He's got an eye patch, He you're like, oh, okay. That's
he's parodied all over the place.
Yeah,
Senator Simpsons.
No, yeah, there you go. It's funny, yeah. That's weird that he definitely is doing that because Dayan and the son, and you're right.
And it's not Bill Forstchen saying I hate the Jews or anything like that.
No,
it's kind of weirdly fetishy.
Yeah,
and it I don't know. That was the only thing that struck out as odd. We have some of the same politics. That darn Hillary is still causing problems for the government.
That's right. Yeah,
but it's Tolwyn even gives a speech about how it doesn't matter, which is great. It's really not what we've seen in this book so far. But remember, we are the military. Civilian politics is outside of our control, and like it or not, that's a tradition we must observe. It's our job to defend the Confederation from the attack we all know is coming. And I'm counting you to give it. It's totally different than the hey, look at these jerks we've been seeing all along.
Yeah.
So I liked that the idea that humanity is coming together for this sort of.
Well, they've been kind of playing that up a bit, too. Where he's mentioned when Jukaga and Thrakat the Emperor are talking before, when they first say this is going to be a war of total eradication, and he says, they're going to fight 10 times harder than they ever have because we haven't let them get into such a low state that they will just kind of roll over for us. That now they feel betrayed, they're going to be furious.
By the way,
I love that speech from Tolwyn, that little paragraph he did, because you imagine just like being in the mind of one of those soldiers out there. They're probably pissed off. Like, everyone saw this coming, and we just fell right into the trap, at least from their perspective. And now they have to go and fix the mess that everyone made. I think Tolwyn, it's a little bit it's a little bit aggressive, but it's also he's just taking charge and saying, hey, let's not worry about this, and let's just do what we need to do and get it done.
And by the way, there's an excellent Forstchen list in there. We talked about this before, that great world building thing where they list 5 historical things, and one thing that is history to the characters but not us. It had been used by his ancestors when they stood at Agincourt, Waterloo, the Somme, and against Hitler, and zing!
Damn those Chinese.
Which, by the way, when you read it out loud, sounds like a 90s comedy. Hitler, zing! But apparently there is some future.
I think I feel like that comes up in another book they talk either about China or Mongolia or something.
There's a Chinese strike of 2082.
Yeah.
So watch out for zing.
He'll get you. He will get you.
But no, I was super happy with so much of this. I loved the payoff of, we had that chapter where we literally go to the Landreich base and we see these fancy fighters, and here this book turns around and lets us play with them, and it's so rewarding, and it's so well planned.
And we get scimitars too at one point, right? They
get
a big call out during the Battle of the Hellhole.
A couple of great call outs. I mean, obviously it's great to see Hunter it's great to see Doomsday. It's great to see Hunter's cigar. The chapter 11 actually ends with kind of a sideswipe out of the blue reference to Special Operations 1. At this point, you have no memory that Jason is the person who went rogue and betrayed. He mutinied, but he brings it up right there as though, he mutinied on the Gettysburg, and he brings it up when he's arguing with Kruger at the very end. Like, at least when I mutinied, it was because of a man, not because of my country. And like, oh yeah, he did mutiny, and his character would know that, even though we've forgotten.
Yeah.
So all sorts of little wing commander bits in there. Yeah, seeing scimitars again. It's really cool stuff.
I also love some of the vocab words we got. You dirty utak. Or...
oh, yeah.
I think it's Gatakvu, which is War of Total Eradication.
Total Annihilation.
Yeah.
Which I wrote Core and Arm after.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I loved all the little bits. I mean, most of my notes are things like the number of fighters they lost, the action, when things are the strategy during the battles. We also get like throwbacks. When you speak earlier, the book opens with the Battle of Monroe. We get a throwback to that when Paladin and Doomsday are launching the torpedo, and Paladin has to adjust using the laser lock, right? Because he has to, because of course in the 90s, laser guided bombs were the biggest thing in the world.
No, and in fact, that encapsulates the genius of these books. Is he's taking the process of torpedoing a ship from the game, and he's describing it pretty accurately, and he's just mixing in a little bit of how military stuff actually worked at that time, and it just builds it up so well in your mind. Let me go around the table and ask. So first of all, quoting Baron Jukaga, I'm curious what you understood this to mean the first time you read it. You humans and your sexual obsession, so strange. We must discuss the differences sometime. What did you think Tolwyn was saying? Because when I was 14, I had no idea.
I thought it was always, shove it up your ass.
Okay.
That's what I always took it as that. But I mean, go F yourself does seem. I mean, go F. It seems too strong for a British person, though, to say, especially an admiral of fine education. Shove it up your arse. I could see him saying, or something like that.
But is
that
to play the devil's advocate about shoving it up your ass? Is that specifically sexual to a Kilrathi?
Also, is it anatomically impossible? Go F yourself seems more.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I guess
this is the best conversation anyone has ever had.
So
by
what
the way,
it really depends on is
what I liked was the line from Jukaga saying, "So strange. We must discuss the differences sometime."
Yeah,
it's almost like he's hitting on him. It's like Garrick and Bashir.
Like on one hand, I guess I kind of do want to hear that conversation, but I also kind of don't.
Yeah, exactly how horny for Admiral Tolwyn is Jukaga.
Yeah, I guess it really just depends on how you normally would tell someone off at that age in your life, and you would repeat. That was the era. I mean, when I think of it, that like the reason I think of "showed up your ass," I think of or even like I guess more appropriately would be "up yours." That would because I feel like that's more like the insult of Forstchen's era. When you think of the end of Independence Day and Randy Quaid, right? As people like, up yours, right? I mean, I'm guessing it's something like that.
By the way, here, let me bring up the terrible politics again.
Oh, jeez.
So, Jameson... Jameson had triggered near chaos instead. First, she refused to resign, even though Quincy had appointed a new foreign minister. Next, she accused the military of conspiring to renew the war. Who does that remind you of? Not Hillary. Anyway,
what do you mean? Is somebody wagging the dog? But there was nobody in that plane. There was nobody. It was a drone. It was a computer. It's okay. I checked. We're not at war yet, so it's okay. But yeah, we get a lot of that. Yeah.
I'm just going through some of my notes at this point. Tolwyn's speech where he says, I propose to meet them in front of Sirius, and then he ends, Sirius is where the decision will be made. That is so dramatic, ignoring the fact that Sirius is not where the decision will ultimately be made.
Yeah.
But you could see, that is a Babylon 5 level speech.
Yeah. Yes.
Except not taken from something else.
No. Yeah. This is that you could picture that being Captain Sheridan saying that, or even the Len-esque speech coming from there. Yeah.
And here's a passage that I pulled out as very odd. must reference something, but I don't know what. It's when Jason is first trying to come in and yell at Kruger. Jason turned his back to see a very young captain wearing commando fatigues and barely out of his teens in the doorway. Though the man was shorter than him by a good half a foot and skinny as a rail, Jason could tell from his eyes that he was deadly. There's got to be something to that, because it's not followed up in any way. It's such an odd, specific description about a character that does not matter in any way.
I mean, when I read that too, I thought it was like I just figured he was trying to show that the Landreich was really their barrel was so thin that they were already scraping the bottom, and they had commandos who were these kind of skinny kids. You know, because they were skinny because...
that I can understand, but just the idea that, and he's deadly. What does that mean? Why specifically?
But I think that's Forshin's thing. I think he does that a lot. Whenever we get to... It's weird that he has a lot of door guards. Right?
He does have a lot of door guards.
The Tarawa, the D5.
Yeah.
You have,
all over McAuliffe and action stations.
Yulandi, right? Yeah. You have him, yeah.
He likes guarding doors.
To show off just how tough, the Landreich guys are.
Okay.
Because scrappy, just barely teenager guy is a captain who's deadly.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's just that they have so few population. I don't want to say it's not like child soldiers, but instead it's like you're 17, you can pick up a gun, you can fight, Right.
I did notice an odd continuity error.
What?
Internal continuity of the book. When Jason is demanding to return the Tarawa, he says, an officer in the... He paused. He was, in fact, not an officer in the Confederation at all, but rather on leave serving the Landreich. He's not on leave. They drummed him out of the service.
He's just a guy, he's the guy who can't let go. That's what I thought of that. Yeah. Because that's... Oh, another thing I thought was... interesting that he brings up when we go back to talk about the Kilrathi fleets, and he lists, the 5th Fleet of the Claw, the 4th, the 3rd.
That's pure.
Yeah, I love that. All that. But what I really love is that, so then you get to the numbers, there's at least 9 other carriers that they have just floating around empty because they don't have enough pilots. And he brings up the fact that it's going to be at least 1 year to train more. And it reminds me a lot of, again, Philippine Sea, where it's the Japanese had just trained pilots to barely be able to fly. And, they've taken all the good guys and putting them onto the Hakagas, so all the guys on the others are meh at best. They're not the gold-plated Imperial Guards. Instead, they're okay. And then, there's no reserves, though. So once they go through all those, it's simply that is the end of it.
I get the sense that, by the way, gold-plated is supposed to be bad, I think. I looked at that reference this time, and it's backwards from the way I always thought. I always thought it was, gold means they're the better pilots, but the way he actually describes it is it's the reservists who don't do anything who are
armor. It's like the rear guard troops
ones who never see action.
Who then when they get to the front are they're the ones who commit all the atrocities because they have not been it's kind of like in Berlin, it wasn't the frontline Russians that went on raping sprees, it was all the rear troops. Is there something hitting the desk? It could be one of us hitting the desk.
It might be, sorry.
I don't know how old that mess. I didn't see it till right now, but it could be. Or it could be. I'm moving a book a lot.
I noticed I gesticulate a bit. So
we both. I try not to move a whole lot, but I know I do too, and I've been moving around the desk. But yeah. I actually think that I wonder if that's a Texas reference. The 6 minutes.
Oh, the 6 minutes. Yeah, but the end, Harm's Way.
Oh yeah. But I think the 6 minutes, because that's like Sam Houston at the Battle of...
Yeah, by the way, the quote is, it was less than 6 minutes since they had jumped through, undoubtedly one of the shortest fleet actions in history. The title of the book, Take a Shot. Kruger had lived up to form, shattering an invasion, killing a carrier, and crippling another. He had certainly taken them in harm's way. And that quote, in harm's way, is from John Paul Jones. You probably know the actual quote, and I don't. It's...
Yeah, I want a ship that goes fast, for I intend to go into harm's way.
Yeah,
I think the battle of San Jacinto, which then actually the San Jacinto becomes Kruger's ship. That I believe lasted some crazy small amount of time. Oh, that was 18 minutes. I apologize. I thought that was it's another.
But still, the idea it's a very short battle.
6 minutes. And one of the things is I had to read. Did anybody else get confused about how many carriers they actually destroyed? Because there's one point where he jumps from Paladin and Doomsday talking about a carrier's fuel tanks going up, to then the very next paragraph is talking about a carrier going up, and it took me like 2 or 3 times reading it to understand that they're both looking at the exact same ship going up.
Yeah, no, it's intentional. I mean, it's what you were saying earlier, where they thought the ship was destroyed, and then we get a damage readout like a paragraph later that's like, 3 out of 5 engines are destroyed.
Yeah, that one that took me through a loop. And I guess we should just talk. The Landreich really needs some mental health, I think, because we have too many pilots going suicide. A lot. I mean, the frigate detonating, which is something that Fortune will use again later in action stations, but using the frigate's reactor detonation to then kill a cruiser and destroyer was an interesting touch.
So one more serious question I should raise with the group
you can't say that with this one. All right, serious yet.
Tolwyn, is this, for lack of a better word, what turns him to the dark side? We see Tolwyn having this incredible amount of responsibility, and there's definitely some very serious self-doubt in there. He paused for a moment. The words that come out of him, not planned at all. In any other setting, he felt they would have sounded worn, but it was a simple truth. The actual existence of his entire species rested in their hands. One wrong move on his part, and it would all be over with. All gone forever. 2,000 years of England gone. A cold silence of death, of extinction. Are we seeing the moment that Tolwyn shifts from hero admiral who cares about civilian rule of law to what he becomes?
I think this is not that turning point. This event is what allows him to be open later when his academy friend visits him from Belisarius, the underground group. I think that this event is what opens him up to that line of thought, but I don't think it's what makes him fully go. It's not until, I think, after everything is over and he starts to really evaluate things and then gets, I think it's David is the guy's name?
Yeah,
who shows up. I feel like that is when you start to get that.
I kind of think of it as a process, and so this is the beginning, step one.
Yeah.
And imagine over the next 18 months as you go through, he gets out of this, but essentially it happens again with the behemoth and everything. And so he's once again in this situation where it's like either he's, the fate of humanity, or, it hangs in the balance. And then like he loses the behemoth, and if it starts here, it kind of ends there. That really breaks him.
By the way, let me pause to thank our producer for getting us a file photo of Mike Wazowski that we could add to the broadcast.
He's watching Warsaw go up right in that train shot, as we see here.
Just to follow up, I think I agree with both Jason and Chris there. Like, I feel like this is kind of like the seed of that. There's definitely legitimacy to this, though, because in this case, he's absolutely right. Like, this could go very badly, and there is a lot of responsibility, and this could be the end of humanity if it goes wrong. While there is like legitimacy here, so I think he's totally in his right to do whatever he needs to do in this case. Maybe it's just something that kind of sticks with him longer than it needs to.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Also, some of this... sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say the only thing I could add to this is I think the only way I could reply to this is asking another question, and that is, at what point did Forstchen or the writers decide to make Tolwyn a comparison to MacArthur? Because there is that sense of at what point is he going to go too far, and where, kind of...
Yeah, that's a very good question, and the answer is not yet. My understanding, anyway, is that Forstchen's analoging, thinking of him as...
That was the word I was trying to get out, and I couldn't.
Me neither. It's late.
Analogy? What?
Analoging as an analog to MacArthur.
Okay.
Just change the grammar. It's something that comes out of his negative reaction to the Wing Commander 4 script. So it's not something he was thinking of at this point. He views Tolwyn as a hero.
Yeah, because we don't even get. And I mean, I don't know how much of the outline of False Colors did he include a lot of that in there? Or is that more Andrew writing that in?
That's very much Bill. I talked to Bill around that time when he was writing that book, and he was not happy with what Wing Commander 4 did to Tolwyn, and his idea that Tolwyn was more like MacArthur came out of that. Yeah, there were people in the fleet who hated him and thought he was wrong, but also there were people who loved him and thought he did something incredibly important.
Because this does represent, though, certainly the changing point for him, where, you know, when we see him in Wing... I mean, if we want to, try to retcon these things, in Wing Commander 3, when he's so stern with us, like, we're not buddies anymore, now you're just some prick who I have to assign to this crappy carrier because it's all we have left. And then you see his evolution through Wing Commander 4... where it's like, he's got the Vesuviuses, and those are his Hakagas, right? Now he can finally have that same type of force to face whatever god-awful Mantu are coming to get us.
Which, by the way, just in the context of Wing Commander 3 alone, Blair is wrong about Tolwyn. Tolwyn is not sending him off to punish him. He is putting him on the victory
the tip of the spear.
It is part of his plan to protect. He thinks Blair is incredibly important. It's operational security. Yeah, and Blair is just a little baby for bitching about it.
Wait, you say Blair? Bitching? Get out of town. He's not a whiner, except for every time we hear him talk.
But that does bring up something I noticed in this chapter specifically, which is that we're getting some genuine setup for Wing Commander 3 that I think is intentional. We hear the idea that it is now a war of extermination. We hear that they have this force of 10 carriers in reserve for when the war will resume in a year. We hear that the Emperor now believes that he doesn't have much time left, and it's time to make this final solution of Earth. And that all seems like it's intentional setup for the new status quo.
Which, you mentioned that. Can we talk about how the Emperor gets giddy looking at his spaceship fly by? Like, woo, woo! And then he's like, whoa, 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 trying to calm down his ship owner there, because he gets so excited, and he's like, wait a minute.
And then he realized that I was too excited.
yeah, I can't be this way.
Well, it's also a power reversal, because the prince is now suddenly kind of like, dude, settle down. And it's usually the other way.
Yeah.
It's almost a commentary on the power dynamic that the politicians are so excited about this, they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Prince Thrakath realizes, I'm the guy who has to make this work. Same with Tolwyn. I'm the guy who has to make this work.
Yeah, we thought we were going to have 12 of these, not 5. Yeah, and we're rushing these things, and yeah. Also, one of the weird things about that scene, too, is, and I'm not sure if maybe I Fortune didn't describe it well, or maybe I didn't understand it, is, right, those two are in there, and then Jukaga's in the next room, and then they bring Jukaga in, but then suddenly when they talk with Jukaga, the room is filled with other people as well. There's commanders from the ships and stuff in there, where I'm like, did they walk in with Jukaga? Where the hell did they come from? Because they're just suddenly the room is filled, and it's like, well, I don't think the Emperor was getting giddy like a schoolgirl in front of commanders. Like, he'll do that in front of his grandson, and that's it. But yeah, that part kind of, I had to read that a few times, and I still am not entirely sure where I'm assuming they came in with Jukaga, but it was kind of weird to see that the room was suddenly filled where the three of them were having their little session.
Here is a little visual that I really liked that I pulled out of this that I wanted to point out. It's during the Chapter 10 part where Tolwyn is briefing Mike Wazowski and all the other admirals, and they're talking about what the capacities of the new carriers are. And Tolwyn says, it's hard to tell since all the ships were aligned identically at the time we swept them. We don't have a full examination from all angles. And that does such a good job of solidifying the image you had of your head of the desperate scan, the Bannockburn doing its desperate scan of these ships and then getting out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, interesting. It's just a great tendon.
No, yeah, because it's like you can picture them jumping in and they're looking out at the fleet, and they just happen to have the angle where all 12 of them are lined up, and however the station is, however the shipyard out there is, or however they're building them. Yeah, and it gives you a good image of just this. I always just pictured like this giant, I don't want to call it a spider web, but just all these kind of like Star Trek-y, and then what we see in like Wing Commander 4 shipyards, those kind of structures around them, all of those with the Hakagas. all in space along with all the escorts. Like this gigantic empty space filled with ships.
Oh, and here's one that I thought was interesting. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but listen to this and tell me what you hear. Not you, because you already know. We killed... It's Kruger talking about the Kilrathi fleet. We killed one, we crippled another, and lost one escort, Kruger snapped. Go back and we'll lose the rest of our escorts just to finish the kill. We want him crippled. They'll have to protect him. Anybody hear anything interesting in there?
They're using the right masculine, feminine usage of the ships.
Yes!
Right.
Yes, which has not been canonically established at all. And I don't know if it is him thinking up that idea right here and using it, because if folks tuning in, Kilrathi ships use the masculine rather than the feminine.
Yeah.
You talk about a ship as a human, it's she, but a
Karga
Kilrathi ship is
yeah.
he. And Kruger just casually refers to the Kilrathi ships as male, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had on that one.
Say, does our crowd have any thoughts? Because I think, what do we have? I have the things I love how Bear gets. He gets the three great things all military officers wants. He gets a promotion, a medal, and a beer. Right? He comes back to the Landrike, and Vance grabs his beer, and Vance is, of course, like, you can tell he's just like, listen, I know this dude. You can bitch at him all you want. You are not changing this, so I'm going to sit back on this crappy couch and have my beer, and you should get your Order of Nova with diamonds and shut up. But
I was wondering that. Is that a real medal, or did he make that up as a joke?
I'm guessing that's out of nowhere, because I can't remember an Order of Nova, but...
It's not referenced anywhere else, but it may be a land... But, I think it is real, because then he describes it as, like, it's a nice piece of tin, you'll like it. It sounds like he's referencing something that exists, but he does... He doesn't think it's something cool. He just, it's like, shut up, here's your army trash.
Here's our Distinguished Service Cross. It's like his Presidential Medal of Freedom. Well, there's an Order of Nova Scotia.
That's not it.
That's definitely not it. Yeah.
No, the vibe I get from that is American Confederacy. We don't have medals. We're above that. That sensibility. Which obviously Fortune would be into.
Yeah, more, they didn't have
not as a conservative, but as a Civil War historian. I mean,
yeah,
that's a different subject to talk about.
Yeah.
The last big point I wanted to talk about in this is, and it's going to be important to the next chapters too. Of the two famous Wing Commander elements, non-stable elements, Cobalt 60 and Strontium 90. This is our first appearance of Strontium 90, which is what we are said the Kilrathi are seeding these planets with to destroy the biosphere. And my understanding from a little bit of particle stuff in college and history of the atomic bomb is that Strontium 90 is a real thing. It is incredibly dangerous to humans, but it's not what he's saying it is. Yeah. It is a byproduct of nuclear fission. It's one of the types of particles that when a nuclear weapon goes off or a nuclear reactor, it's nuclear waste essentially, and it's incredibly deadly to humans because it settles in your bones and it destroys your marrow and gives you all sorts of bone cancers.
Makes you, what's that guy? Was it Toxic Avenger? What was that weird?
Yeah, Toxic Avenger. Yeah,
from the 90s. That weird dude.
Yeah, the trauma stuff.
Really bad movies.
And when you just look up Strontium 90, it does tell you it is the most dangerous byproduct of nuclear fission. But it's not something you see in an atmosphere to destroy a biosphere. Those people shouldn't die immediately because there's Strontium 90 there. They're just going to get very sick, and hopefully in the future.
Well, maybe that's what he's kind of
cancer.
thinking, though. Is like he wants it's going to be a pollution over. It's like salting the well.
Yeah.
Or
Exactly. It's going to take place over time. He wants them to suffer.
Yeah, because when you read about it, you're like, oh, the planet's destroyed. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's not destroyed. Chernobyl and Fukushima both released Strontium 90 into the atmosphere. Every nuclear test ever has released Strontium 90.
like when we talked about before, because it's this is typically these are not countries today don't because this is essentially a super dirty bomb, right? Because you're taking a 500 megaton warhead, clapping it in all this stuff, and then detonating it with the idea of spreading it as absolutely far as possible.
Yeah, it's the 500 megaton nuclear warheads that I guess are doing the damage, not the strontium so much. Even though the strontium was what we all, grasped onto back then.
Yeah, well, I thought the 500 megatons
it's an airburst.
Well, I figured the 500 megatons, he was just trying to use a ridiculous yield, because that's the largest nuke ever detonated is 50 megatons with the Tsar Bomba in the Soviet Union, which was actually a prototype for a 100 megaton weapon, and the reason they never used it or built a lot of them, it destroys the bomber carrying it. That's one of the crazy things about Tsar Bomba is that it had this massive parachute to slow it down enough so that it was only used so the bomber could escape. I mean, that thing's fireball was something like 9 or 12 miles across, just in fire. And I think using it as that's how you spread it.
The other thing we often see in these stories is the writers will always make, it's the biggest possible thing. And 500 megatons is the sum total of all nuclear devices ever detonated in human history to date.
Oh, that's what he's got.
That was my interesting trivia for that.
Okay.
But in reality, the reason the Soviets built so much larger bombs was because their targeting was not as good as the Americans. So it's not that the race to build a nuclear bomb is to make one as big as possible. It's to make one that goes in the right place.
Yeah,
and that's a solution for when that doesn't happen.
Yeah, their what's called circular error of probability was really bad compared to it's like when the United States first developed submarine launched missiles. I mean,
my granddad worked on those in the first Polaris missiles.
Yeah, and the reason you shot them at cities, because cities are huge.
Yeah,
you hit downtown, hit the suburb. Who gives a shit? You killed the city. But then over time, today with GPS and everything else, now you can put a nuke, literally right into the silo door if you wanted to, and that kind of changes things. Yeah, the Tsar Bomba, it's one of those things where if there's a website called Nuke Map where you can put in all different yields and figure out what it will do, and the Tsar Bomba just breaks it because you have to zoom so far out to see all the blast fields, and you're like, okay, bad.
The other interesting thing, not interesting, but the other thing I note about this, Forstchen's sudden interest in airburst nuclear weapons is, boy, does that ever carry over. He has now made a career out of exactly he's describing these airburst bombs, and now his whole thing is these airburst nuclear bombs that cause EMP explosions.
Oh, Jesus,
you need to be afraid of how China's going to do this to us. And so
he's made a career out of remaking, what is that book called? A Last Battle On or whatever, where it's always the last survivors of a nuclear airburst.
Yeah, and he's
done 30 books.
Oh,
yeah, he's written a whole bunch of them now.
I'm glad I have not followed his. I mean, as a kid, I always liked 1945, even though it is absolutely ridiculous.
I like his early pulpy stuff.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. It's because it's so ridiculous. Where it's like, let's take all our escort carriers and form a stream across the Atlantic, and the F-82, which is a fighter that you'd be like, what the hell is that? It's two P-51s put together, and only saw service in Korea for a short time because we had jets. But he's like, we're gonna fly those across. They can't land on carriers, but they're gonna somehow hopscotch on their way across the Atlantic and da.
No, I love Trash Forstchen. His Star Trek novel. Did you read his Star Trek novel?
I've never read a Star Trek novel.
It's a Star Trek The Next Generation novel where all the classic Star Trek characters are suddenly Bill Forstchen historians. Picard and Riker love World War II, and they solve their problem by replicating P-51 Mustangs to give to the civilization.
You've told me about this. Yeah, you've told me about this one before.
And I love all of his stupid early stuff. His Ice Prophet books, his take on fantasy, his Civil War ones where he takes a Civil War unit and puts it in space. But then later, as he gets serious, and it's this... I don't like that whole, hey, let's scare stupid people into worrying about more stuff that he does now.
Yeah, I always, and one of the great things is, too, if you ask him about 1945, his very angry reactions that, it's not my fault that book's like that, it was the editor. I don't think an editor could do all of that is in there. Long story short, 1945 is basically if Hitler Hitler is killed in a plane crash in like early 42 or something, so they don't declare war on the United States, and instead the United States beats Japan in 43, and then of course the Nazis take over Europe and blah 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 blah.
The amazing thing about 1945, and this actually ties back into the politics of this book that he's raging against, is so Bill is friends with Newt Gingrich, and you've probably seen that he's co-authored all sorts of alternate history books. He did some about World War II and some about the Civil War.
Yep.
You know, the typical for the want of a nail, all these things would change type books. Their first project together was this book called 1945, which was, you know, the big alternate history. What if the Nazis won World War II? And it's not political in any way. It's pure pulp.
It's pure military porn.
And when you read the book,
It really
it is absolutely pulp in the same vein as everything else he'd ever written at that point.
Yeah.
But because of the timing, he and Newt co-authored this book for Bayan, so they made no money. Co-authored this book for Bayan just before the Clinton stuff came down, before Newt became the head of the conservative movement opposing Clinton. So it became this incredibly embarrassing thing when publishing schedules aligned, and, you know, Newt is saying, Bill Clinton is a degenerate and he's ruining the family, and oh, by the way, this book about Nazi sex kittens and all these things that I read is now available.
Oh, that's right.
So it was just this embarrassing thing for him at exactly the point where all this stuff was happening that Bill is complaining about in this book with his Clinton stand-in, and it's great. It's great that happens. It's very funny.
I forgot about all that part. It's been a while since I just remember, you know, like they love Otto Skorenzi and that, the German commando.
No, the New York Times was all over the Nazi sex kitten.
Oh, really? That's so funny. Like, I didn't until you said it, I was like, I completely forgot about that point in there. That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's a pure, like, you know, teenage boy World War II is your interest.
Yeah.
Like you love that book because you're like, oh yes,
and you almost feel bad for them because it's clearly just two guys having a great time writing their fantasy novel, and they have no limits to it. And
yeah, there is
they
really not.
They had a great time writing this, no matter what they have to say afterwards.
Yeah,
but yeah,
they don't finish their war.
No, 1946 never happened.
No. Yeah, no, and you can Google him. He has, I think he has an entire web page devoted to why there is no sequel, and it's all the editor's fault. Yeah. Should we do final thoughts?
Yeah, let's do final thoughts because we've gone far afield. As great as this is.
Yeah, these are two chapters we've beaten to death. It's good.
I got one follow up there to the Strontium 90 that made me cock my head a little bit when I read it. Was
that's the impossible anatomical act.
But when Jason, when Bondarevsky hears the news about Warsaw, one of the, he's talking about how there was this unspoken agreement between the two sides not to do this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And he ends with this sentence that says, it had been in part a self-serving rule for both sides, sides hoped for ultimate victory, and with it the worlds inhabited by their foes. And I was just, is that what the Confederation wants? Do they want the worlds like that the Kilrathi own? Because I never really saw it that way. Like, I can see that from the Kilrathi side, but I never really saw that as a motive of the Confederation.
Yeah, I don't think the Confederation has they're more like they want to defeat the Kilrathi.
Well, yes and no. I think there's an actual answer to this question. The Confederation does not want to take over Kilrathi originated planets.
Yeah.
But the war began, and Fortune already has this in his mind. The war began with this cutting move where the Kilrathi occupied 30% of the Confederation. So hundreds of systems have been occupied by the Kilrathi for 30 years at this point. And additionally, the Kilrathi have these slave races that are now allied with the Confederation. The Confederation is part of something called the Terran Alliance, which includes races like the Varni, the Ferekan, and so on. Some of which, the Wu, are entirely enslaved by the Kilrathi. So there is an aspect of these areas of space that they do intend to free.
Well, yeah,
so it's more a matter of taking back what's ours.
Yeah,
it's more like a conquest of liberation, if you will.
Yeah, but generationally at this point, the Varni have been the Varni planets have been occupied for 60 years,
more even.
Yeah, or 90 years.
90 years, yeah, because it's 30 years. I feel like before action stations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good thing we're not on the radio. Good thing we're not on the radio.
They should put us on the radio.
I
would listen to a radio station that's just me talking about fleet action every night.
How can you listen? You just be listening to yourself while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true.
Why do you think I do this?
That's true. Yes, we do this anyways when we're just sitting there, usually blabbing about nothing.
Yeah, the great thing is because you come over like 3 hours before the show, and we have all the conversations.
Well, and we both try not to though. It's usually like we'll mention a bit, and then we stop because it's like we're gonna have that later.
As soon as 5 minutes before the show, when I brought up the screen of the paradigm and the 5 minute countdown, you started talking about what's the top of a paradigm? What inspired this?
Yeah.
And we're like, this would be a great thing to show.
Yeah, in
5 minutes.
Yes, we have. Because when I come over, I'm always like, all right, what are we gonna do tonight? We're gonna do this, and then I'll say it to a point, but then I'm like, no, there's no need to go all into this. We're gonna do this in an hour and a half, anyways. But yeah. Because yes, that is definitely what happens all the time.
Anyway, let's do final thoughts. Let's go around. Chris, you want to give us your
Start the
remaining
board.
thoughts?
Go after.
My question is, when's the last time you told somebody to go F theirself? Right now. Next would be Leha in our alphabetical list.
Okay, I'm still sticking with up yours, but I mean that's kind of beside the point now.
Okay, I see where we're going with this. Michael, you got something good?
Nothing original. Up yours is basically the best I can come up with. Good chapters. It's nice to finally get to the fireworks factory.
All right. Well, up all of yours, gentlemen.
Well, this reminds me of something that I don't know if you guys remember. When we were kids, we had the double one, which was the "F-U up yours" that you could do. You do the 2-hand motions.
I did not have that. That may have just been a Boston thing.
We were like 8-year-olds, so we were idiots. But I just remember that "F-U up yours," and we thought that was great.
All right. Well,
on that dirty note.
Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for a very exciting book club.
Yeah.
4 hours ago when we started, my brain was just about dead, and now I am racing with Wing Commander. So awesome.
Yeah, I know. It was getting a little tough there. Where I was like, "Ooh, I'm feeling a little bit draggy during prep." But book club always does boost the spirits.
So we're going to sign off from book club. Thank you guys. We will see you next time for what chapters do we have left? Let me make sure about this.
12 and 13.
12 and 13, yeah, and we'll do the final and wrap up. So we'll do 2 more sessions, 12 and 13 next, and then 14 and whole summary at the end.
No, 14 is only.
Oh, there is a 14. Okay. Yeah, we should just do. Let's just do
all
those
3.
Well, because 14 is
it's
4 pages.
It's just an afterward.
So if you really,
right.
that'd be a really rough book club.
All right, let's finish the fight next time.
There you go.
So 2 weeks from today, we will finish Fleet Action, and it's gonna be good.
Yes.
All right, so let me switch over to our ending.
That's right.
Take off my space helmet. Well, thanks for staying with us for tonight. I hope this was exciting. I love all the errata. I love all the I don't know at this point. I've lost track. It was a fun one. I thought it was a really fun one.
It was great. I just like setting records for ourselves.
And I could play another 10 hours of Privateer if you wanted to right now. No, I've got a work project to do tomorrow also. So, where's my book?
Jesus! Good thing you thought of that, because we would have screwed up. I got the signing pen right there. I got the book right there. I got empty beer bottles everywhere.
All right. Log.
I'm hoping to really. I don't know how you're going to draw 4 escort carriers killing a Korathi carrier in only a few minutes, but
no, good to try. So I do want to talk about next week.
Yes,
I will be out of town on Thursday, but we are going to give it a shot, doing a remote show. Allie and I, and Jason, if you want to come over to Ocean City, are going to do a remote show.
No, I have to take care of your stuff.
Oh, well,
I feel like that would probably be inappropriate. Are you guys at your house? No, I'm here at the beach house. Why would I be at your? Oh, shit.
Yep. So we're going to do. It'll probably be shorter. And we're going to theme it. We're going to talk about Wing Commander on the go. But we'll do a Privateer segment and all the other stuff.
What? I'm not even gonna look till it's finished now. I'm good. Well, it's too bad we already did the beach scenes, because that would have been good to do at the beach, I guess, huh?
Well, I think that was what came up with the idea of it in the first place.
Yeah, these things kind of happen. Yep. Oh my, I'm not looking.
Well, it's not looking good.
I know. Listen, I don't remember hearing the line "light that candle" in these chapters, but that's what you got going. I guess we also forgot to mention that the one carrier that's destroyed, which I think is an interesting choice on his part, is the Gallipoli. I believe all the amphibious invasions, it's the one that failed. The other ones were Crete, Iwo Jima, Tarawa, and Gallipoli. So Gallipoli, they lose because it's the assault that does fail in the First World War.
Okay, bear with me here. But here's the 4 escort carriers and one of the Kilrathi carriers shooting at it. It's amazing.
B.
Those are the center deck things.
Oh, that's.
Where's my signing pen?
Those are the islands. Yes, let's get this. Let's get. This is a mission, sir, that we're not gonna remember. For the record.
All right.
Just 4 penises doing their thing.
No, we're not ending on that note. Here's Clyde. See you guys next time. Thanks for coming out.
Have fun at the beach.
Keep Wing Commandering.
See ya.
Hi, I'm Dr. Clyde Burrows at the Omicron Institute, and it's the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. The All Wings Considered crew spent a lot of time battling for other planets, but does anyone really own another world? The Outer Space Treaty, signed just before the moon landings, defined the solar system as being for the provenance of all mankind. Over 100 countries have signed the treaty, and that means that the moon doesn't belong to America or China or Russia. It belongs to you and me. See you on the next exciting episode of All Wings Considered.